The United States have been waiting for this date for years. On August 21st, 2017, there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun. With the path of totality stretching from Oregon to South Carolina, people can see the eclipse from coast to coast. The timing of the eclipse will provide the opportunity for viewers to see one of the biggest astronomical events of the century, just a few weeks after enjoying one of the biggest meteor showers of the year. Every August, Earth passes through a stream of debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle, source of the annual Perseid meteor shower. This year, the shower will peak on the nights of August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Although the comet is far away, currently located beyond the orbit of Uranus, a trail of debris from the comet stretches all the way around its orbit, back to where it nears Earth's orbit. As our planet crosses the debris zone, the upper atmosphere will be pelted by specks of comet dust traveling 132,000 miles per hour. At that speed, even a flimsy speck of dust makes a vivid streak of light when it disintegrates, a meteor. Because Swift-Tuttle's meteors streak out of the constellation Perseus, they are called Perseids. Astronomer Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office offers these observing tips. If it's not cloudy, get away from the bright lights, lay on your back, and look up. Remember to let your eyes get adjusted to the dark. It takes about 30 minutes. You'll see more meteors that way. You don't need to look in any particular direction. Meteors can generally be seen all over the sky. Not all the meteors you'll see belong to the Perseid meteor shower. Some are sporadic background meteors. Others are weaker showers also active in August, including the Alpha Capricornids, the Southern Delta Aquarids, and the Kappa Cygnids. But the vast majority will be Perseids. Cook says if you see a meteor, try to trace it backwards. If you end up in the constellation Perseus, there's a good chance you've seen a Perseid. Under ideally dark skies, observers can often see dozens or even more than 100 Perseids per hour when the shower peaks. This year, the glaring light of a bright, waning gibbous moon will interfere, reducing the number of visible meteors. Now for the good news. That same moon is heading toward the sun, narrowing as it goes until the thinning crescent disappears into a black disk that will perfectly cover the sun on August 21st. A meteor shower, followed by a total solar eclipse. August doesn't get much better than that. For more news about backyard astronomy, stay tuned to science.nasa.gov.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
As the darkness slowly encroaches, do not fear. The sun will shine again. On August 21st, a total solar eclipse will cross the United States from Oregon to South Carolina. And for a couple of minutes, day will turn into night. Enjoy the show, but don't look at the sun. The only safe time to view an eclipse is if you're in the path of totality and during the minutes of totality. Otherwise, you'll need certified eclipse glasses. To learn more, go to eclipse2017.nasa.gov and NASA TV.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
A solar eclipse occurs when the moon moves between the Earth and the sun, blocks the sun's light, and casts a shadow on the Earth. When the moon completely covers the bright disk of the sun, that's a total solar eclipse, and it happens roughly every year and a half somewhere on Earth. A partial solar eclipse is more common, happening at least twice a year. A lunar eclipse, on the other hand, is where the moon moves behind the Earth, so it's now the Earth blocking the sun's light on the moon, creating a shadow on it with a red tint. The easy way to remember the difference is to remember what gets darker. With the solar eclipse, the sun gets darker, and during a lunar eclipse, the moon does. A solar eclipse is a rare event that not many get to see, because the moon's shadow is relatively small. This limits the locations on Earth that get to see it. You have to be on the sunny side of the planet, and you have to be in the path of the moon's shadow. So, if you find your area in the path of totality one year, you've hit the jackpot, because on average, that same spot on Earth will only get to see a solar eclipse every 375 years. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts a shadow with two parts, the umbra and penumbra. The moon's umbra is part of the moon's shadow where the entire sun is blocked by the moon. In space, it's a cone extending some 400,000 kilometers behind the moon. It's when the small end of this cone hits the Earth that we experience a total solar eclipse. Most eclipse maps depicting the path will show you a circle representing the shadow of the moon, but in actuality, the true shape of the umbra is more like an irregular polygon with slightly curved edges. This is because the moon isn't a perfect circle. It has mountains and valleys on its surface, which all affect the passing sunlight and subsequent shape of its shadow. And scientists now have a greater understanding of the shape of the moon's surface, thanks to NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The unprecedented level of detail from the topographic maps, photos, and other datasets has allowed us to more precisely pinpoint the regions on Earth falling within the path of totality of a solar eclipse. So, if you get the chance to witness a solar eclipse, always remember that our little moon plays a role that's quite large.
Hi, I'm Noah Petro from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. The eclipse has just passed over us here at Volcano Stadium. You all in Charleston have a great show coming your way. Now, because we've got NASA at both stadiums today, we wanted to connect the two events, creating a transcontinental eclipse doubleheader. Now, I know Paul Hertz is there today. Paul's the Division Director of Astrophysics at NASA headquarters. Now, Paul, we've got a ball here to send your way. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I hope you can catch it.
Great throw, Noah, but I don't think either one of us is ready for the majors. I'm here at Charleston Riverdog Stadium, and we're looking forward to a beautiful eclipse and an exciting ball game. And I hope everyone at Volcano Stadium enjoyed the eclipse and enjoys the rest of your ball game. Today is a great day for America, for baseball, for NASA, and for anyone who enjoyed
that may obstruct your view. Totality lasts less than 3 minutes, so you may want to focus on doing only one science observation, or just really experience the eclipse. Don't waste this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity by watching it on your phone screen. Plan to have your safe solar viewing glasses within immediate reach, in your pocket or around your neck for quick eye protection before and after totality. Just before totality, if you have a good view of the horizon, look west for the approaching shadow. After totality, look east low on the horizon for the departing shadow. If it's cloudy, try to see the shadow by looking up at the bottoms of the clouds. During totality, look for stars. Can you see Regulus in the solar corona? The stars of Orion? How early and how late is Venus visible? Can you see any other planets? Before and after totality, you may see moving waves of light and shadow, like the patterns you see on the bottom of a swimming pool. How dark does it get at totality? As it gets darker, look at the newspaper you brought and see what's the smallest print you can read. How much does the temperature drop during totality? Does the wind start, stop, or change direction? Watch and listen for changes in animal and bird behavior. During the partial phases, use your hands as a pinhole projector. you'll be able to see the crescent shape of the sun projected through the spaces created by your fingers.
You can also make a paper pinhole projector.
In fact, any item with one or more holes in it, like a kitchen colander, a loosely woven straw hat, even leaves on trees, will project the crescent shapes. You can find out about all of NASA's missions at www.nasa.gov. And you can find out more about the eclipse, including eclipse safety, at eclipse2017.nasa.gov. That's all for this month. I'm Jane Houston Jones.
There are two important things to remember about watching a solar eclipse. The first one is never look at the partial eclipse that comes before and follows after a total solar eclipse. Even if 1% of the sun is showing around the edge of the moon, that's too bright for your eye to handle. It will damage your vision. The second thing, however, is do look at the total solar eclipse with your naked eye. Your eye is an amazing device and will show you lots of detail during totality. Today, I'm going to show you several techniques for viewing a partial solar eclipse. The first one is to go online and to buy a pair of solar viewing glasses. These have been designed to block the sunlight during a partial eclipse or even the full sun so that you can look at the sun with your naked eye. The second is to go to a welding shop and get a number 14 welder's glass. This blocks enough of the sunlight that you can look at it safely with your eye. A third technique will be to make a pinhole in a piece of cardboard and then make a pinhole image of the sun. And the fourth technique, which we'll take you through today, is to use a small telescope, a spotting scope, or a binoculars to make an image of the sun projected onto a white piece of cardboard. This was the technique used by Galileo himself. All of these will allow you to watch the partial solar eclipse and save your eyes.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television. Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
Hi, I'm Noah Petro from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. The eclipse has just passed over us here at Volcano Stadium. You all in Charleston have a great show coming your way. Now, because we've got NASA at both stadiums today, we wanted to connect the two events, creating a transcontinental eclipse doubleheader. Now, I know Paul Hertz is there today. Paul's the Division Director of Astrophysics at NASA headquarters. Now, Paul, we've got a ball here to send your way. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I hope you can catch it.
Great throw, Noah, but I don't think either one of us is ready for the majors. I'm here at Charleston Riverdog Stadium, and we're looking forward to a beautiful eclipse and an exciting ball game. And I hope everyone at Volcano Stadium enjoyed the eclipse and enjoys the rest of your ball game. Today is a great day for America, for baseball, for NASA, and for anyone who enjoyed the great American eclipse. Thank you.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
Looking back at Earth from a million miles away, the Deep Space Climate Observatory will watch the August total solar eclipse in real time, giving scientists a unique opportunity to study our solar-powered planet. NASA's Earth Polychromatic Imaging Camera, called EPIC, will capture images of the moon's shadow passing over Earth. A team of scientists will combine data from EPIC with measurements taken on the ground to learn more about how the sun's energy is absorbed and reflected in Earth's atmosphere. Clouds affect how much of the sun's energy reaches Earth, which can be difficult to calculate without knowing how each cloud blocks, absorbs, or transmits light. Like a giant cloud, the moon blocks out the sun's energy during the solar eclipse. Because we already know the exact shape and makeup of the moon, scientists can use the natural phenomenon to develop new calculations that could improve estimates of Earth's energy system and answer questions about Earth's climate. NASA has studied the Sun and Earth relationship for more than 40 years. This year, NASA is launching 2 instruments to further study Earth's energy system.
Studying total solar eclipses have revealed some of the most fundamental discoveries in science today. During these celestial events, scientists discovered the sun structure, the first proof of Einstein's theory of general relativity, and the element helium 30 years before it was found on Earth. They also discovered huge solar explosions called coronal mass ejections, eruptions on the sun that continue to be an important component of NASA's research. Coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, are giant eruptions made up of hot gas and plasma. From the sun's surface, they propel immense clouds to Spain and North Africa before departing Earth. Much of the path of totality travelled over populated land, resulting in a wealth of observations. Back then, astronomical photography was still new, so many scientists recorded their observations by hand. The drawings show the large white fingers of the corona, and also a distinctive arc-like feature. With multiple images drawn from different locations across Europe, it appears to evolve over time, but not all the images showed this. About 2/3 of people saw the tulip head-like shape, but 1/3 didn't see anything at all, including renowned scientist Angelo Secchi. It wasn't until over 100 years later, with regular satellite imagery, that scientists reopened the debate about what was seen in the 1860 eclipse. The strong resemblance shows that this eclipse may be the first record of a CME. While satellites in the space age exploded the field of CME research, total solar eclipses seen from the ground still provide unique views of the sun's atmosphere that help our understanding of what causes these explosions. Current instruments in space studying the corona need to block the sun's bright body with an occulting disk. The disk covers up the sun and a portion of the lower corona, an important region that scientists believe is responsible for accelerating CMEs and forming solar wind. So when eclipses happen to fall on land, scientists take advantage of these rare events. With each new total eclipse, there's the chance for new information and new research, and the chance to reveal something as astronomical as the first CME.
as the darkness slowly encroaches. Do not fear. The sun will shine again. On August 21st, a total solar eclipse will cross the United States from Oregon to South Carolina. And for a couple of minutes, day will turn into night. Enjoy the show, but don't look at the sun. The only safe time to view an eclipse is if you're in the path of totality and during the minutes of totality. Otherwise, you'll need certified eclipse glasses. To learn more, go to eclipse2017.nasa.gov and NASA TV.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
August 2017, a big month for astronomy. Presented by Science at NASA. Sky watchers in the United States have been waiting for this date for years. On August 21st, 2017, there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun. With the path of totality stretching from Oregon to South Carolina, people can see the eclipse from coast to coast. The timing of the eclipse will provide the opportunity for viewers to see one of the biggest astronomical events of the century, just a few weeks after enjoying one of the biggest meteor showers of the year. Every August, Earth passes through a stream of debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle, source of the annual Perseid meteor shower. This year, the shower will peak on the nights of August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Although the comet is far away, currently located beyond the orbit of Uranus, a trail of debris from the comet stretches all the way around its orbit, back to where it nears Earth's orbit. As our planet crosses the debris zone, the upper atmosphere will be pelted by specks of comet dust traveling 132,000 miles per hour. At that speed, even a flimsy speck of dust makes a vivid streak of light when it disintegrates. A meteor. Because Swift-Tuttle's meteors streak out of the constellation Perseus, they are called Perseids. Astronomer Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office offers these observing tips. If it's not cloudy, get away from the bright lights, lay on your back, and look up. Remember to let your eyes get adjusted to the dark. It takes about 30 minutes. You'll see more meteors that way. You don't need to look in any particular direction. Meteors can generally be seen all over the sky. Not all the meteors you'll see belong to the Perseid meteor shower. Some are sporadic background meteors. Others are weaker showers also active in August, including the Alpha Capricornids, the Southern Delta Aquarids, and the Kappa Cygnids. But the vast majority will be Perseids. Cook says if you see a meteor, try to trace it backwards. If you end up in the constellation Perseus, there's a good chance you've seen a Perseid. Under ideally dark skies, observers can often see dozens or even more than 100 Perseids per hour when the shower peaks. This year, the glaring light of a bright, waning gibbous moon will interfere, reducing the number of visible meteors. Now for the good news. That same moon is heading toward the sun, narrowing as it goes until the thinning crescent disappears into a black disk that will perfectly cover the sun on August 21st. A meteor shower, followed by a total solar eclipse. August doesn't get much better than that. For more news about backyard astronomy, stay tuned to science.nasa.gov.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
Hi, I'm Noah Petro from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. The eclipse has just passed over us here at Volcano Stadium. You all in Charleston have a great show coming your way. Now, because we've got NASA at both stadiums today, we wanted to connect the two events, creating a transcontinental eclipse doubleheader. Now, I know Paul Hertz is there today. Paul's the Division Director of Astrophysics at NASA headquarters. Now, Paul, we've got a ball here to send your way. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I hope you can catch it.
With the solar eclipse, the sun gets darker, and during a lunar eclipse, the moon does. A solar eclipse is a rare event that not many get to see, because the moon's shadow is relatively small. This limits the locations on Earth that get to see it. You have to be on the sunny side of the planet, and you have to be in the path of the moon's shadow. So, if you find your area in the path of totality one year, you've hit the jackpot, because on average, that same spot on Earth will only get to see a solar eclipse every 375 years. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts a shadow with two parts, the umbra and penumbra. The moon's umbra is part of the moon's shadow where the entire sun is blocked by the moon. In space, it's a cone extending some 400,000 kilometers behind the moon. It's when the small end of this cone hits the Earth that we experience a total solar eclipse. Most eclipse maps depicting the path will show you a circle representing the shadow of the moon, but in actuality, the true shape of the umbra is more like an irregular polygon with slightly curved edges. This is because the moon isn't a perfect circle. It has mountains and valleys on its surface, which all affect the passing sunlight and subsequent shape of its shadow. And scientists now have a greater understanding of the shape of the moon's surface, thanks to NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The unprecedented level of detail from the topographic maps, photos, and other datasets has allowed us to more precisely pinpoint the regions on Earth falling within the path of totality of a solar eclipse. So, if you get the chance to witness a solar eclipse, always remember that our little moon plays a role that's quite large.
What's up for August? August 21st's total solar eclipse traces a narrow path across the nation, though most of the U.S. will see a partial eclipse. Hello and welcome. I'm Jane Houston Jones from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. Not everyone can travel to the narrow path of totality, so here are some things to look for no matter whether you see totality or a partial eclipse. Before Eclipse Day, pack your Eclipse toolkit with a notebook, pen or pencil, a clock, a stopwatch, the front page of a newspaper, a thermometer, and a stick with a piece of crepe paper tied to it. And bring an assistant to help conduct some science observations. Practice using a citizen science phone app to help you study clouds, air, and surface temperatures during the eclipse. A good one is the Globe app. Go to the location where you'll view the eclipse and check for trees and buildings that may obstruct your view. Totality lasts less than 3 minutes, so you may want to focus on doing only one science observation, or just really experience the eclipse. Don't waste this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity by watching it on your phone screen. Plan to have your safe solar viewing glasses within immediate reach, in your pocket or around your neck for quick eye protection before and after totality. Just before totality, if you have a good view of the horizon, look west for the approaching shadow. After totality, look east low on the horizon for the departing shadow. If it's cloudy, try to see the shadow by looking up at the bottoms of the clouds. During totality, look for stars. Can you see Regulus in the solar corona? The stars of Orion? How early and how late is Venus visible? Can you see any other planets? Before and after totality, you may see moving waves of light and shadow, like the patterns you see on the bottom of a swimming pool. How dark does it get at totality? As it gets darker, look at the newspaper you brought and see what's the smallest print you can read. How much does the temperature drop during totality? Does the wind start, stop, or change direction? Watch and listen for changes in animal and bird behavior. During the partial phases, use your hands as a pinhole projector. You'll be able to see the crescent shape of the sun projected through the spaces created by your fingers.
You can also make a paper pinhole projector.
In fact, any item with one or more holes in it, like a kitchen colander, a loosely woven straw hat, even leaves on trees, will project the crescent shapes. You can find out about all of NASA's missions at www.nasa.gov. And you can find out more about the eclipse, including eclipse safety, at eclipse2017.nasa.gov. That's all for this month. I'm Jane Houston Jones.
There are two important things to remember about watching a solar eclipse. The first one is never look at the partial eclipse that comes before and follows after a total solar eclipse. Even if 1% of the sun is showing around the edge of the moon, that's too bright for your eye to handle. It will damage your vision. The second thing, however, is do look at the total solar eclipse with your naked eye. Your eye is an amazing device and will show you lots of detail during totality. Today, I'm going to show you several techniques for viewing a partial solar eclipse. The first one is to go online and to buy a pair of solar viewing glasses. These have been designed to block the sunlight during a partial eclipse or even the full sun so that you can look at the sun with your naked eye. The second is to go to a welding shop and get a number 14 welder's glass. This blocks enough of the sunlight that you can look at it safely with your eye. A third technique will be to make a pinhole in a piece of cardboard and then make a pinhole image of the sun. And the fourth technique, which we'll take you through today, is to use a small telescope, a spotting scope, or a binoculars to make an image of the sun projected onto a white piece of cardboard. This was the technique used by Galileo himself. All of these will allow you to watch the partial solar eclipse and save your eyes.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
The most amazing thing was when I was in Turkey in 2006 and I saw a total solar eclipse live and in person.
I am just getting chills, literally and figuratively, about the excitement of this amazing spectacle.
As an astronomer, I felt lucky enough to be witnessing the fact that we are part of a moving solar system in which you have the Earth, Sun, and Moon interacting together. As a person, I felt very moved when I saw totality in the middle of the day. Totality is when the moon covers completely the sun, and so all the light that we normally see during the day from the photosphere of the sun completely disappears, and the only thing that you are left seeing is a dark sun, completely blackened, and then on the outside of the sun the corona is visible. So we're going to show you what happens to create totality, to create this darkness in the middle of the day on the Earth's surface as a result of a total solar eclipse. So basically I have a fictitious sun behind me, which is a light source, pretending that it's the sun, and we have the Earth and we have the moon. So the moon actually travels in front of the Earth. Of these little moons will actually cover the diameter of the sun. But the moon is also 400 times closer to us, and that is what creates the total solar eclipse, which is an amazing cosmic coincidence. So to illustrate what I'm talking about, I'm going to use my thumb, which is much smaller than your head, to try and cover it. So if I try to cover it here, I close one eye, you're still very visible. But if I bring my thumb very close to my eye, eventually your entire face is actually covered. And that is what's happening. And you can try this at home. Do that with different objects and different distances using your thumb and closing one eye, and you'll be able to understand why the moon, which is 400 times smaller than the sun, but is 400 times closer to us, can actually cause the sun to be completely obscured in a total solar eclipse.
If the moon goes around the Earth once a month, how come we don't have an eclipse every month?
The orbit of the moon around the Earth is actually slanted, so most of the time the moon will actually travel above the plane of the Earth and the Sun line or below the plane of the Earth-Sun line and not cause an eclipse. We are not going to have a total solar eclipse forever. And that is because the moon is actually receding from the Earth. The distance is actually increasing due to tidal forces. And so, of course, as the moon recedes from the Earth, it covers a little bit less and less of the solar disk during an eclipse. But this will happen in 500 million years. So we still have time to go out there and catch a beautiful total solar eclipse.
As the darkness slowly encroaches, do not fear. The sun will shine again. On August 21st, a total solar eclipse will cross the United States from Oregon to South Carolina. And for a couple of minutes, day will turn into night. Enjoy the show, but don't look at the sun. The only safe time to view an eclipse is if you're in the path of totality and during the minutes of totality. Otherwise, you'll need certified eclipse glasses. To learn more, go to eclipse2017.nasa.gov and NASA TV.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
On August 21st, 2017, a solar eclipse will pass over all 50 United States. This will afford most of the country a glimpse of what it is like to have the moon slide between the sun and the Earth, casting a shadow on us down below. The experience will look different depending on where you are located. If you are along the path of totality, you see the moon fully block the sun. If you are outside of the path, you will see the moon go by, but the sun will never be fully covered. Wherever you are, you never want to look directly at the sun without protection. Like eclipse glasses, not sunglasses. The one exception is if you are able to see totality. Only when the moon has fully blocked the sun, you are safe to look at the eclipse directly. Before and after that moment, keep your eyes protected. Events like this are rare. The last total solar eclipse to cross the U.S. coast to coast was in 1918. And the next total solar eclipse in the continental U.S. isn't until 2024. Don't miss this opportunity to experience a solar eclipse.
Space Place. In a snap. Whoa! It's the middle of the day. So why is the sky getting dark? It's a solar eclipse. A solar eclipse happens when, at just the right moment, the moon passes between the sun and Earth. Sometimes the moon only blocks part of the sun's light. This is called a partial solar eclipse. Other times, the moon blocks all of the sun's light. This is called a total solar eclipse. As the moon blocks the sun's light, it casts a shadow on part of the Earth. The moon's shadow creates a trail as the Earth rotates. This trail is called the path of totality. If you want to experience total darkness during an eclipse, you have to be in the path of totality. In that path, the moon completely blocks the sun's light for a few minutes. It gets so dark that it looks like nighttime during a full moon. If you don't know what's happening, it can be confusing. Animals can get confused too. But this total darkness can also be kind of cool for scientists who study the sun's atmosphere, called the corona. The corona is very dim. It's usually hard to see because the sun is so much brighter. But when the moon blocks the sun's light during an eclipse, all you can see is the light from the corona. Total solar eclipses over the land, where people can see them, don't happen very often. But when they do happen, the moon gives scientists, and the rest of us, a glimpse at the corona's beautiful streams and ribbons. Thanks, Moon! Find out more about the sun at NASA Space Place.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television. Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
Hi, I'm Noah Petro from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. The eclipse has just passed over us here at Volcano Stadium. You all in Charleston have a great show coming your way. Now, because we've got NASA at both stadiums today, we wanted to connect the two events, creating a transcontinental eclipse doubleheader. Now, I know Paul Hertz is there today. Paul's the Division Director of Astrophysics at NASA headquarters. Now, Paul, we've got a ball here to send your way. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I hope you can catch it.
Great throw, Noah, but I don't think either one of us is ready for the majors. I'm here at Charleston Riverdog Stadium, and we're looking forward to a beautiful eclipse and an exciting ball game. And I hope everyone at Volcano Stadium enjoyed the eclipse and enjoys the rest of your ball game. Today is a great day for America, for baseball, for NASA, and for anyone who enjoyed the great American eclipse. Thank you.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
What we're talking about is several visualizations of the path of the moon's shadow during the eclipse in 2017. Everything in it is driven by the data. So the color of the ground, the position of the path of totality, the lighting from the sun angle, all of those are things that are based on data. A lot of NASA products were used to create this visualization. I used the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the laser altimetry data from that, which gives us a digital map of the elevations on the moon. For the Earth, I used something called SRTM. This was a radar that was flown on the space shuttle. For the positions of the Earth, the moon, and the sun, I used a JPL ephemeris, and ephemeris is just a list of positions, but it's the most accurate tabulation of those positions. This visualization is unique because it shows the effect of both the irregular edge of the moon, the limb of the moon we call it, and the elevation of the observer. Now, we've known for a long time that the elevation of the observer affects where the shadow is, and we've also known that the mountains and the valleys along the edge of the moon affect the shadow. So you may have seen on eclipse maps in the past that the image of the umbra, that shape of the shadow on the Earth, is drawn as a smooth oval. But we know that the moon isn't smooth. Around the edge of the moon, we have these sort of jagged peaks and valleys. And a peak can block the sun a little bit earlier than you thought, and a valley can let the sun in a few seconds longer than you thought. The combined effect of these peaks and valleys is to create a shape that's not really an oval, it's more like a polygon. But it hasn't actually been seen in exactly this way before, where we calculate those circumstances for every point on the map and draw that shape. Totality is that 2 minutes when or 2.5 minutes when the moon completely covers the sun. The sudden darkness of totality is just something that a lot of people can't compare to anything else. I love the idea that I'm giving this kind of map to other people, and especially that it's more detailed and more accurate so that people are actually in the right place to see it.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
Looking back at Earth from 1 million miles away, the Deep Space Climate Observatory will watch the August total solar eclipse in real time, giving scientists a unique opportunity to study our solar-powered planet. NASA's Earth polychromatic imaging camera, called EPIC, will capture images of the moon's shadow passing over Earth. A team of scientists will combine data from EPIC with measurements taken on the ground to learn more about how the sun's energy is absorbed and reflected in Earth's atmosphere. Clouds affect how much of the sun's energy reaches Earth, which can be difficult to calculate without knowing how each cloud blocks, absorbs, or transmits light. Like a giant cloud, the moon blocks out the sun's energy during the solar eclipse. Because we already know the exact shape and makeup of the moon, scientists can use the natural phenomenon to develop new calculations that could improve estimates of Earth's energy system and answer questions about Earth's climate. NASA has studied the Sun and Earth relationship for more than 40 years. This year, NASA is launching 2 instruments to further study Earth's energy system.
Studying total solar eclipses have revealed some of the most fundamental discoveries in science today. During these celestial events, scientists discovered the sun structure, the first proof of Einstein's theory of general relativity, and the element helium 30 years before it was found on Earth. They also discovered huge solar explosions called coronal mass ejections, eruptions on the sun that continue to be an important component of NASA's research. Coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, are giant eruptions made up of hot gas and plasma. From the sun's surface, they propel immense clouds of solar material into space, speeding at up to 1 million miles per hour and carrying enough energy to power the world for 10,000 years. Sometimes they're directed towards Earth when they can affect our planet's space environment, causing space weather. Scientists track and study CMEs because they can trigger global changes in Earth's magnetic field. When intense, these can create magnetic storms that can cause aurora, but can also affect satellite electronics and power grids on the ground. Scientists discovered these eruptions in the 1970s during the beginning of the modern satellite era, a time when satellites in space were able to capture thousands of images of solar activity that had never been seen before. But in hindsight, these might not have been the first time scientists had noticed these solar features. Soon after they discovered CMEs, scientists came across reports of a total solar eclipse in 1860 that looked very similar to their satellite images. On July 18, 1860, the shadow of the moon travelled over North America, Spain, and North Africa before departing Earth. Much of the path of totality travelled over populated land, resulting in a wealth of observations. Back then, astronomical photography was still new, so many scientists recorded their observations by hand. The drawings show the large white fingers of the corona, and also a distinctive arc-like feature. With multiple images drawn from different locations across Europe, it appears to evolve over time, but not all the images showed this. About 2/3 of people saw the tulip head-like shape, but 1/3 didn't see anything at all, including renowned scientist Angelo Secchi. It wasn't until over 100 years later, with regular satellite imagery, that scientists reopened the debate about what was seen in the 1860 eclipse. The strong resemblance shows that this eclipse may be the first record of a CME. While satellites in the space age exploded the field of CME research, total solar eclipses seen from the ground still provide unique views of the sun's atmosphere that help our understanding of what causes these explosions. Current instruments in space studying the corona need to block the sun's bright body with an occulting disk. The disk covers up the sun and a portion of the lower corona, an important region that scientists believe is responsible for accelerating CMEs and forming solar wind. So when eclipses happen to fall on land, scientists take advantage of these rare events. With each new total eclipse, there's the chance for new information and new research, and the chance to reveal something as astronomical as the first CME.
August 2017, a big month for astronomy. Presented by Science at NASA. Sky watchers in the United States have been waiting for this date for years. On August 21st, 2017, there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun. With the path of totality stretching from Oregon to South Carolina, people can see the eclipse from coast to coast. The timing of the eclipse will provide the opportunity for viewers to see one of the biggest astronomical events of the century, just a few weeks after enjoying one of the biggest meteor showers of the year. Every August, Earth passes through a stream of debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle, source of the annual Perseid meteor shower. This year, the shower will peak on the nights of August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Although the comet is far away, currently located beyond the orbit of Uranus, a trail of debris from the comet stretches all the way around its orbit, back to where it nears Earth's orbit. As our planet crosses the debris zone, the upper atmosphere will be pelted by specks of comet dust traveling 132,000 miles per hour. At that speed, even a flimsy speck of dust makes a vivid streak of light when it disintegrates. A meteor. Because Swift-Tuttle's meteors streak out of the constellation Perseus, they are called Perseids. Astronomer Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office offers these observing tips. If it's not cloudy, get away from the bright lights, lay on your back, and look up. Remember to let your eyes get adjusted to the dark. It takes about 30 minutes. You'll see more meteors that way. You don't need to look in any particular direction. Meteors can generally be seen all over the sky. Not all the meteors you'll see belong to the Perseid meteor shower. Some are sporadic background meteors. Others are weaker showers also active in August, including the Alpha Capricornids, the Southern Delta Aquarids, and the Kappa Cygnids. But the vast majority will be Perseids. Cook says if you see a meteor, try to trace it backwards. If you end up in the constellation Perseus, there's a good chance you've seen a Perseid. Under ideally dark skies, observers can often see dozens or even more than 100 Perseids per hour when the shower peaks. This year, the glaring light of a bright, waning gibbous moon will interfere, reducing the number of visible meteors. Now for the good news. That same moon is heading toward the sun, narrowing as it goes until the thinning crescent disappears into a black disk that will perfectly cover the sun on August 21st. A meteor shower, followed by a total solar eclipse. August doesn't get much better than that. For more news about backyard astronomy, stay tuned to science.nasa.gov.
Watch NASA Television's pre-show coverage at 12 p.m. and the entire total solar eclipse coverage through the eyes of NASA at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NASA Television.
As the darkness slowly encroaches, do not fear. The sun will shine again. On August 21st, a total solar eclipse will cross the United States from Oregon to South Carolina. And for a couple of minutes, day will turn into night. Enjoy the show, but don't look at the sun. The only safe time to view an eclipse is if you're in the path of totality and during the minutes of totality. Otherwise, you'll need certified eclipse glasses. To learn more, go to eclipse2017.nasa.gov and NASA TV.
A solar eclipse occurs when the moon moves between the Earth and the sun, blocks the sun's light, and casts a shadow on the Earth. When the moon completely covers the bright disk of the sun, that's a total solar eclipse, and it happens roughly every year and a half somewhere on Earth. A partial solar eclipse is more common, happening at least twice a year. A lunar eclipse, on the other hand, is where the moon moves behind the Earth, so it's now the Earth blocking the sun's light on the moon, creating a shadow on it with a red tint. The easy way to remember the difference is to remember what gets darker. With the solar eclipse, the sun gets darker, and during a lunar eclipse, the moon does. A solar eclipse is a rare event that not many get to see, because the moon's shadow is relatively small. This limits the locations on Earth that get to see it. You have to be on the sunny side of the planet, and you have to be in the path of the moon's shadow. So, if you find your area in the path of totality one year, you've hit the jackpot, because on average, that same spot on Earth will only get to see a solar eclipse every 375 years. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts a shadow with two parts, the umbra and penumbra. The moon's umbra is part of the moon's shadow where the entire sun is blocked by the moon. In space, it's a cone extending some 400,000 kilometers behind the moon. It's when the small end of this cone hits the Earth that we experience a total solar eclipse. Most eclipse maps depicting the path will show you a circle representing the shadow of the moon, but in actuality, the true shape of the umbra is more like an irregular polygon with slightly curved edges. This is because the moon isn't a perfect circle. It has mountains and valleys on its surface, which all affect the passing sunlight and subsequent shape of its shadow. And scientists now have a greater understanding of the shape of the moon's surface, thanks to NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The unprecedented level of detail from the topographic maps, photos, and other datasets has allowed us to more precisely pinpoint the regions on Earth falling within the path of totality of a solar eclipse. So, if you get the chance to witness a solar eclipse, always remember that our little moon plays a role that's quite large.
Hi, I'm Noah Petro from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. The eclipse has just passed over us here at Volcano Stadium. You all in Charleston have a great show coming your way. Now, because we've got NASA at both stadiums today, we wanted to connect the two events, creating a transcontinental eclipse doubleheader. Now, I know Paul Hertz is there today. Paul's the Division Director of Astrophysics at NASA headquarters. Now, Paul, we've got a ball here to send your way. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I hope you can catch it.
Great throw, Noah, but I don't think either one of us is ready for the majors. I'm here at Charleston Riverdog Stadium, and we're looking forward to a beautiful eclipse and an exciting ball game. And I hope everyone at Volcano Stadium enjoyed the eclipse and enjoys the rest of your ball game. Today is a great day for America, for baseball, for NASA, and for anyone who enjoyed the great American eclipse. Thank you.
mic check.
Karen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mic check. Karen, go first.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm taking a look through the eyes of NASA from here at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. Getting ready to talk in the heat today about Eclipse 2017. Do you need me to keep going? Because I can. Hope you can hear me.
My turn. Okay, hey, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking a look at the latest GOES satellite imagery from our friend. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing. We are at T minus 4 minutes and counting. Through the eyes of NASA. Today, we start with a view off the coast of Oregon from Gulfstream 3 aircraft out of NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center. This coastline is where the eclipse will soon begin, starting on the west coast, then tracking the eclipse as it moves to the east coast. We will bring you the experience of 2017 eclipse across America. We invite you to join us for exclusive eclipse programming from coast to coast across the country. Welcome to NASA's pre-show coverage of total solar eclipse of 2017. We're coming to you live from NASA Eclipse Central at the College of Charleston in South Carolina. Over the next 4 hours, be prepared for an amazing journey through the eyes of NASA. Now, on to our pre-show hosts, Karen Fox and Sean Potter. Guys, take it away. It's sun time.
All right. Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne. We have a great show for you today. I can't wait.
No, me either.
Can't wait.
Hear those bells? That means it's eclipse time, right?
Welcome to NASA TV's broadcast of the 2017 solar eclipse. I am Karen Fox, NASA's communications lead for what we call heliophysics. That's the study of the sun and how it affects space.
And I'm Sean Potter from NASA's Office of Communications. I'm also a certified broadcast meteorologist, so today I'll also be tracking our eclipse weather for you.
And as you can see, we are at the College of Charleston in South Carolina at NASA Eclipse Central. From right here, starting at 1 p.m., we will be tracking and covering today's big event, Eclipse 2017.
Today, millions of people across the United States will witness a spectacular event, a total solar eclipse.
As the moon crosses the face of our sun, we're going to be bringing you real-time, breathtaking images in locations across the country. NASA TV has cameras, telescopes, balloons, aircraft, and even spacecraft standing by to bring you views of this natural phenomenon. So get ready to look through the eyes of NASA.
Plus, coming up at our 1 p.m. broadcast, we have NASA experts standing by at locations across the country. They're going to be highlighting views of the eclipse and also pointing out how NASA is using the eclipse to study not only the sun, but also our Earth and its atmosphere.
Now, all of North America will experience a partial eclipse. That's where the moon blocks only part of the sun. A total solar eclipse is going to sweep across the nation along a 70-mile wide path arching from Oregon to South Carolina. This is called the path of totality, and people along that path are going to experience the glorious sight of a fully eclipsed sun.
But first, I want to take just a moment to remind you of some very important eclipse safety tips. First of all, never, ever look directly at the sun. It's not safe for your eyes and could cause damage.
It's really important, and we're going to keep sharing safety tips throughout the broadcast. But for now, let's take a look at today's weather.
That's great. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to show you an image from the GO-16 satellite. This is the latest and greatest weather satellite that NASA built and launched for our partners at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, just last year, and it's going to revolutionize weather forecasts. And you can see it's a very detailed picture of cloud cover across the country. And actually, for the path of totality, which remember stretches from Oregon across the midsection through Nebraska and Missouri into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, and then exiting the U.S. here in Charleston, looks pretty good except for the midsection of the country. Maybe Nebraska and parts of Missouri might see some cloud cover, and then as you get here toward the coast in Charleston, as we look up, we do see some clouds. So we'll keep an eye on that and have more for you later in the broadcast.
Crossing fingers for weather here. An eclipse is something called a transit. A transit is when one celestial body appears to move across the face of another celestial body. And today, that is our moon moving across the face of the sun.
And it's almost time for that transit to begin. 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, will mark the beginning of the eclipse over U.S. soil.
So let's go right now to Salem, Oregon, to hopefully catch a glimpse. There's a large celebration underway, coordinated by the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Jesse Carpenter from NASA's Ames Research Center is standing by.
The corona is so hot. That's like if you were standing next to a fireplace and as you moved away, it got hotter, which is crazy. But we know that it's from those dynamic magnetic fields that we're seeing here.
Okay, I just got word that we haven't started. Okay, I guess we're going from the top.
All right, thank you to Ames.
Thanks, Jesse, and so we begin our eclipse coverage. Also coming to us from Oregon is this stunning image from a telescope located in the town of Madras. In partnership with NASA, the Exploratorium is providing telescope feeds available as a live stream. This makes spectacular views available to everyone. Now, the Exploratorium is a public learning laboratory that explores the world through science, art, and human perception.
So let's talk a little more about that science and what it is that we're actually going to be learning today. A lot of people think that space is completely empty, right?
Yeah, a lot of people.
And it's not quite true. We actually live in the extended atmosphere of an active star. Heliophysics is the study of our star, the sun, and its effects on space. So the sun sends out solar material, and it helps drive this constantly writhing magnetic system throughout space. And this system surrounds Earth and the planets and extends far out into the solar system. So NASA studies this system not only to help us understand more about our place in the universe, but it also helps protect our technology and astronauts in space.
So now let's go to Carbondale, Illinois, where NASA EDGE is standing by to tell us more. Actually, we're going to stay right here at Eclipse Central in Charleston. So Karen, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
So this is a good time to take another moment to talk about safety. Now, first and foremost, never look directly at the sun. It's not safe and it can cause damage.
But there are lots of ways to safely view the eclipse without looking directly at the sun. Be sure to visit eclipse2017.nasa.gov for detailed instructions and advice.
Now, you may have seen these eclipse glasses, right?
I've got my pair.
They are designed with special purpose solar filters.
So ordinary sunglasses, even very dark ones, are not safe for looking at the sun.
Now, even if you don't have glasses, you have options. For one thing, you can share glasses, right? This event, here, take my glasses,
Share,
Sean.
we can share, yeah.
This event lasts for hours. Now, you can also make a pinhole projector. It's simple. You can literally just take a piece of paper, you take a pencil, you punch a hole in it, you put the sun behind you, you hold up your paper down like this, and you're going to be able to see an image of the eclipse on the ground or maybe on a wall if you project it onto a wall. It's really simple to watch the sun safely.
Lots of options available to you no matter where you are. There's lots more information about how to watch an eclipse. Again, that website address is eclipse2017.nasa.gov. It's the only time that's safe to take these glasses off when you're looking at the eclipse is if you're in the path of totality during the brief few minutes that the moon completely blocks the sun. Let's watch this video to learn more.
On August 21st, 2017, the Earth will cross the shadow of the Moon, creating a total solar eclipse. Eclipses happen about every 6 months, but this one is special. For the first time in almost 40 years, the path of the Moon's shadow passes through the continental United States. Everyone there will see the moon at least partially block the sun. People within the path of totality, shown here in red, will witness a total solar eclipse. For them, the moon will cover the sun entirely. The sky will become twilight, the air will cool, the stars will appear, and the black disk of the moon will be surrounded by the pale, streaming halo of the sun's corona. Totality will last for 2 minutes or a little more, and it will be visible along a swath that crosses the continent, from Oregon to South Carolina. For some, it will be the spectacle of a lifetime.
Coming up during our 1 p.m. broadcast, we will have a live demonstration with a pinhole viewer and more ways to safely view today's eclipse.
NASA TV is going to be bringing you real-time, breathtaking images. In locations across the country, we have cameras and telescopes and balloons and aircraft and even spare spacecraft standing by to bring you views of this natural phenomenon.
Got it all. I can't wait. But right now, let's take a minute to learn about one of the aircraft being used today. NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center operates a Gulfstream 3 airplane for aerodynamics research and mission support. Today, their flight path is taking them over the Pacific Ocean to see the very first view of the total solar eclipse as it begins to cross the country.
Let's watch this video to learn more about their eclipse mission.
NASA's G3 aircraft out of Armstrong Flight Research Center will feed the world live video coverage of the eclipse from the west coast of Oregon as it begins its path across America. So we hope to bring that view through the eyes of NASA. We go out there and modify aircraft all the time so we can go out there and do NASA science. It's what we do. In the case of this aircraft, we've gone out there and taken the normal passenger windows and replaced them with optical grade windows, plus put in a telemetry system so we can go out there and provide real-time video. With these optical grade windows, it allows our photo and video teams to go out there and capture high-resolution video at 35,000 feet to present to the world this rare event. And using this event to go out there and educate people, I think, is an exciting proposition.
All right, it's just about to turn. We'll be almost.
From a pilot's perspective, we want to make sure we get to the right spot, and also there are limitations for what our photographers can do.
Roll out here.
We pushed it as far west as we could go, so we could get that as early as possible and as low in the horizon as possible. And that put us at about Lincoln City, Oregon, which is the farthest west point right on the west coast. So we set up a holding pattern or a racetrack pattern right over Lincoln City. We know exactly the width of the totality swath. With that, we did some mission planning again to make sure we know what the stall speeds are, the slowest speeds, the safest speeds to fly, the speeds that will give us the most time inside the totality region. We can slip the airplane. That'll give us some more bank angle, which lets our cameras see a little bit higher. So all of those kinds of things were what went into from a pilot standpoint, planning this out.
All right, you guys ready to turn in again for a partial?
I think it makes us proud of what we do and that we're able to share it with everybody around the world in this case, due to the modifications to the airplane we made. That's what we do.
How you doing, Coop?
Great.
Wow.
I can't wait to see what that G3 is going to show us today.
That was amazing, and it's going to be an incredible view, the first view of the solar eclipse. as it's literally crossing into the United States.
So basically it is off the west coast right now, so it's getting a view of the eclipse before we even get a view from land.
Right,
of that partial eclipse.
And that G3, it's just one of a fleet of NASA aircraft and observation platforms that we have. We've got, as we mentioned earlier, satellites, both ours and some of our partner agencies, aircraft, the balloons that we've got, and we'll be telling you more about that in our 1 p.m. Broadcast as well. But we've got you covered here. It's in terms of, you know, eclipse, not only looking at it from the ground, looking at it from the sky, looking at it even from space. I know we're going to get a little preview to that.
Great. You know what I just heard? We've got the Salem, Oregon eclipse starting.
Wonderful.
This is the partial transit, and we're going to the G3 now to see what they
Live
can
to the
see.
G3.
We've got an exclusive feed as they fly over the Pacific Ocean, and Kevin Rohr from NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center is standing by. Do we have Kevin?
Okay.
All right, he's going to be up soon.
But you can see, and we actually have a monitor here on set in Charleston, so we can actually see what they're seeing live, and you can see the transit beginning as the moon is just starting to eclipse the sun. Isn't that an incredible image, Karen?
No, it's beautiful. And so just to be clear, what you see on the screen right now, right, is that partial transit. The partial transit can take, the partial eclipse can take, you know, up to 3 hours, a little bit longer in any one location. Whereas the total eclipse, that's only about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Right. A lot of people talk about the totality, only lasting maybe at most 2 minutes or so. But sometimes people don't realize that in terms of the entire eclipse, from
ago, and I'm not sure if they decided to leave before or after totality, but we have some local people helping us to make sure we have access. And we're hoping, expecting to be a pretty easy recovery.
Now, will you actually be on the chase team yourself?
No, I'm not going to be on the chase team. I need to do logistics here on the ground. I have been on a chase, though, and it's very exciting.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, can you tell me about it? And please get as specific as you can. What are some of the most eventful ones? Like, has the balloon ever come down in
Pontchartrain River?
How did you know? You're not kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. We did have a landing in the Pontchartrain River, which was not a great recovery, but it was definitely better than landing in the airport, which we were afraid was going to happen.
Well, I was going to say I would rather land in an airport because the Pontchartrain River, you have the water that might damage some of your instruments, but you're the expert then, right?
I think we'd rather not interfere with air traffic control.
That's true. Landing in a Pontchartrain River, and I assume the alligators did not make a meal out of your several $1,000s worth of instruments?
We didn't recover that payload, but we have done water recoveries in the past. And we actually just invested in an inflatable kayak.
Okay. My producer just told me we are seeing first contact. Everybody, we have people putting on their glasses the first contact. We are seeing the first contact, and we've got about 4 minutes left. How many total solar eclipses have you seen, Colleen?
This is my first.
I assume you have your glasses. Feel free to go ahead and put your glasses on.
You want a pair?
Yes, please.
Your fingers together, you can make little spaces in between your fingers.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna.
You can project little images of the eclipses down onto the ground. So make sure you look down just as much as you look up. You can't really see through
them.
If you
Right. Okay. My glasses are on. Are your glasses on too?
They are on.
Okay. And the sun, we are turning around. Would it be okay if I turn my back to the camera so I can see the sun? Oh, okay. I'm going to turn my back to the camera. Oh my gosh! There is a small bite starting in the sun. What are your comments?
I said that is gorgeous, isn't it?
Ripply shapes you see on the ground.
That is fantastic. The total solar eclipse in Carbondale, Illinois has begun. A small bite is being taken out of the sun by our satellite called the moon. This is incredible. Earlier they were telling people to talk about in one word to describe the eclipse. The word for me is majestic. A lot of times, I don't know about you, sometimes if I want to, take a break on my computer,
Looking out toward the horizon, we await the first glimpse of a total solar eclipse when the movement of our moon completely blocks our view of the sun. Starting in the air from NASA's Gulfstream 3 aircraft off the coast of Oregon, we anticipate this awe-inspiring celestial event. Over the next 3 hours, we will track the solar eclipse as it moves across the entire United States from coast to coast, observing this incredible event through the eyes of NASA. Media specialist and meteorologist, very important man today, I must say. Tracking the weather conditions across the path of totality, Sean Potter. Today we're coming to you from NASA Eclipse Central here at the College of Charleston. Now, Charleston is the last stop of the total solar eclipse on U.S. soil. So we will track this eclipse as it moves east and heads this way. We're tracking the eclipse across the entire country to bring you the best images with the most compelling stories, along with science experts. Here from NASA Eclipse Central, we have views from ground telescopes, high-altitude balloons, airplanes, and from several NASA spacecraft. And yes, and I want you to remember this, audience out there, we even have live, no one else, only here at NASA, the International Space Station. If you want to see the eclipse as never before, stay with us through the eyes of NASA on NASA television. This is the place to be. Yari, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, ¿y usted?
Okay, this is a win-win situation for America. We have a partial eclipse and a total eclipse. Explain the difference.
So today, pretty much the moon is going to come across the Earth and the sun. So North America, Central America, and parts of South America are going to see a partial solar eclipse, which means that the moon is going to partially block the sun. It's going to look like the moon took a bite of the sun, like you have seen on the previous images. A total solar eclipse is going to happen in a very narrow path, 70-mile wide, that comes all the way from Oregon, crossing the whole continent of the United States, and getting out here in South Carolina. You're going to see a total solar eclipse, which means that the
Okay, so Alex and Jody, I'm very fortunate that I have glasses, and a lot of people have glasses, but a lot of people don't have glasses. Yes. So what are other options? Let me start with you, Alex, on how they can view the eclipse
Well,
safely.
the simplest thing to remember to look at it indirectly is a pinhole viewer. And there's a lot of ways you can make a pinhole. You can take a simple piece of paper, poke a hole in it. In fact, I've got here a 3D map of the path across the U.S. with a hole in it that I can use as a pinhole to project the circular sun down on the ground, and then you can see the moon move across it. As a matter of fact, anything with holes, including this colander, is something you can use to look at the eclipse. But you can also use something a little more sophisticated if you want.
So you can actually make a box. You actually just do 2 holes in one side of the box and then put white paper on the inside. Then put aluminum foil, do a hole in the middle, not too big, that you can actually project the sun inside the box. Make sure that the sun is actually behind you so you can actually look at it inside of the box. It will be an amazing projector.
Okay, so before I toss the social, I got to do this because we're on the College of Charleston, and College of Charleston students, make some noise! That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so the social media world is going to break records. So let me toss to my man, John, on the social front. What's going on?
Thanks, Dwayne. There are literally millions of people watching this broadcast right now. We're going to be monitoring the conversation online and taking your questions as a total solar eclipse treks across the United States. There's a tremendous amount of excitement online, and we should want to share with you at home. So we will show you images of the eclipse from your unique vantage point. Submit your pictures and questions using the hashtag Eclipse 2017 and follow the conversation online. For updates, be sure to follow, let's see if I can remember all these, NASA on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. Additionally, we're providing live coverage during the eclipse on Facebook Live on NASA's Facebook page. You can ask your questions in the comment thread. Check out their streaming sites like NASA's Periscope account on Twitter, Twitch TV, Ustream, and on YouTube. And of course, you can watch it on nasa.gov and nasa.gov/eclipse live and on the NASA app. And we have a special feature for you. If you visit our Facebook Live page, along with this broadcast, we have a 360 view from right here in Charleston, South Carolina. With this tool, you can pan around on your computer and mobile device and even look up to the sky as the moon transits the sun during the eclipse. It'll be like you're right here with us in Charleston, minus the sweltering heat. Visit the NASA Facebook page and check it out. And finally, share your images of the eclipse with us using the hashtag Eclipse 2017 on our Flickr page, which is up here online right now. Share your images with us, and we'll share them right here in the broadcast and also on social media. And finally, enjoy your eclipse viewing, and remember to ask your questions with the hashtag Eclipse 2017. Back to you, Dwayne.
Well, John, it's social media is going to break some records, and we're going to be coming back to you more and more. So you got to know that one of the most important things here for today is the weather. So Sean, you know, I'm looking at Charleston skies. We got clouds. I hope that's going to get better, but what's going on around the nation? Over to you.
That's right, Dwayne. Yes, the weather is the key factor for viewing today's total solar eclipse. Right here in Charleston, it's about 86 degrees, but with the humidity, it feels more like 99 right now. But what we want to do right now is show you a satellite image from our friends at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. This is from the GOES-16 satellite. It's a brand new weather satellite that NASA built for NOAA and was launched last year that's going to give you the latest and greatest, very detailed imagery of cloud cover across the country. And what you can see is that things are looking really good for the early parts of the path of totality, places like Oregon and Idaho and Wyoming. And then as you get into parts of the middle section of the country, more places like Beatrice, Nebraska, maybe into Kansas City, Jefferson City, there is some cloud cover there that may hinder your ability to view the eclipse. And looks like as you get into Carbondale, skies are still pretty good there. There are some storm systems developing to the north in other parts of Illinois. And really, things are looking clear again until you get back here in Charleston. As you said, Dwayne, I'm looking up at the clouds to where the sun will be in about an hour. And there is significant cloud cover, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. I do see some pockets of blue in there. So hopefully we'll get to see something. But we'll have more for you later in the broadcast. Dwayne.
Thanks, Sean. Hopefully you can use some of your connections to get us some good weather here in Charleston. So the moon is already moving across the face of the sun. We're getting close to viewing our first total eclipse of the day.
We're minutes away, and remember, the total solar eclipse starts on the west coast of the United States in Oregon, and we will be bringing you live images as it occurs. NASA's Ames Research Center's Jesse Carpenter is standing by in Salem, Oregon at the Oregon State Fairgrounds. Jesse, give us a status report.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Dwayne. Totality is almost here. Oh, this is so exciting. And just before we get to that, though, I want to introduce Andrea Edgecombe again from the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Hey.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about this really fun, cool viewing event that's going on here.
Yeah, well, we are here. We have almost 9,000 people here at the Oregon State Fairgrounds, and we've had some cool stage presentations. We heard from NASA astronaut Don Pettit. He's an Oregonian. We had a University of Oregon professor, and behind us we have some space science partners who've been doing some cool educational activities and really interacting with the crowd. So it's been an awesome morning, and we can't wait for totality in a few minutes.
This is such a great event. Thank you for joining us again. We really appreciate it. I know you got to get going.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
It's coming soon. And joining us now to talk to us about the sun and give us more information is NASA lead scientist for Eclipse 2017, Madhulika Guhatakirta from Ames Research Center. Hi, Lika.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, it's almost here. It's almost here. So how many eclipses have you seen?
I went to see 9 eclipses and I actually landed up seeing 6. The other 3 had inclement weather.
Oh.
We don't have that here today.
No, we don't, and it's going to be 7. So what can you tell us about the sun that'll help our audience understand better?
I just want to start by saying I'm in awe at this moment right now, and whatever I say, kind of take it with that filter because we are very close to totality.
We are.
We live in the outer atmosphere of this magnificent, dynamic, magnetically variable star that dominates every cubic inch of space in our solar system. And if I can get the video, what you would see in the video is that the sun produces storms that can be all engulfing, generating this environment called space weather. The inner edge of the corona that you see that's black in the video is because the sun is so intense that it overwhelms the dim brightness of the corona. And so even from space, we can't absorb the inner part of the corona. And not only Earth, but the entire solar system, as you can see, lives with this dynamic star. Corona is the region where space weather is born and conditions are set for a supersonic solar wind and a super hot corona, 2 of our outstanding questions in heliophysics, in physics, really. To understand the corona better, NASA is actually going to be launching a mission next year, almost a year from now, how coincidental, called Parker Solar Probe. It is actually going to go touch the sun, and it's going to get closer to any other spacecraft has gone before to the sun to study the corona, to actually sample the very corona that we will be seeing very soon.
Yes, we will. It's almost here. Thank you, Lika, for joining us, and thank you for sharing that. So now we're going to take it back to NASA Eclipse Central in Charleston. Take it away, Dwayne.
Okay, just now coming in, we have an exclusive sneak peek of the total solar eclipse as it is arriving at the United States. It's over the Pacific Ocean and about to reach Oregon. This is the celestial event that we've all been waiting and anticipating for years. We'll begin looking through the eyes of NASA out the window of our G3 aircraft. Let's take in the view.
Wow.
And now we're looking at the first glimpse of the total eclipse from the ground. Wait, let's see. That's still the G3. There we go. And now we're looking at the first glimpse of the total eclipse from the ground on United States soil. This is coming to us from Salem, Oregon, where thousands of people are gathered and experiencing this monumental event, a total solar eclipse. Let's take a look and take in the view.
That's so pretty.
That's the G3 there. Is that the real thing? Is that the real? We're going to keep that up and then we're going to do reactions. Okay, so
as the moon has now moved, the sun is appearing again, and we can see the diamond ring. It's amazing. It's fantastic. You see the outer edge. I see prominences, little red pieces of chromosphere from the lower atmosphere. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing.
Jody, what we got? That looks pretty cool.
I mean, it's breathtaking. I just, even seeing it right now through the TV, it's just an amazing thing to see. I cannot imagine what we're going to feel here in South Carolina when we have our chance.
Well, I hope we have our chance to, you know, Sean, and, you know, get that weather up here looking good here in Charleston. Now, what do we,
so Alex,
what are we seeing here?
Is that from the G3? That looks like from the G3 because I see spectra there.
No, it's still from Salem.
That's still from Salem.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're seeing the bright, actually the camera is causing a little prism effect there, and you're seeing the bright light from the edge of the sun. So that is really beautiful. That's sort of the edge of the diamond ring effect.
Yeah.
So Alex, a reminder, Alex, so when that diamond ring pops up, that's when people should put the
That's when people should put your glasses back on. So when you see that diamond ring after totality, that's the signal to you that it's time to put it back on.
Yeah.
So look now, we see the corona in Madras. That's gorgeous.
That's amazing. I mean, being able to look at that with your own eyes is an amazing experience. And that only can be seen when you have this kind of totality.
So the corona, that's the
solar atmosphere.
That's what solar scientists really live for, right?
Right. Right. That is the origin. That is where the origin of space weather.
Yes.
You know, that's where it comes from.
That's where most of the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections, big explosions of particles, originate from.
Now, if there was solar activity, would we see it right now? Would we be able to see that popping up on the sun?
If there was a coronal mass ejection leaving the sun, we could see it there because, in fact, we have seen it in the past, and I'll even show some history later with images that people drew of these coronal mass ejections leaving the sun during a total solar eclipse.
Now, why is it so critical and so important to really get this type of view from the sun's atmosphere from the corona? Johnny?
You mean like in a total solar eclipse?
Yes. There's the diamond.
That's the diamond ring again. Ring. That's amazing. That's from Madras.
Wow.
It is important to do this because we do this kind of eclipses artificially, but we do not do it as perfect as nature does. The moon covers the sun in such a perfect way that we see parts of the corona that we don't usually see.
So Alex, explain that and safety too, right?
So right now, this was the moment when you see that flash of light. That's the moment when it's time to put your glasses back on or start using your indirect methods, because now it's too bright and it could damage your eyes.
Yeah. Safety first, people. Always.
Wow. So the folks in Salem, Oregon, I mean, they're like juiced. I mean, they got it. They got the good.
They've got a perfect view, and they are seeing one of nature's most amazing spectacles.
I can only imagine the reaction on the ground from the folks there.
Oh, they are probably
gasping.
Completely overwhelmed right now. Completely overwhelmed.
Well, I certainly hope we get something like that. But we've got it here on NASA television through the eyes of NASA. And we got the International Space Station coming up and other images only we can bring.
Only NASA can bring, yes.
Now, is it completely dark or is it coming out?
No, what's happening now is the filters are back on, the safe solar filters for the telescope, and now you see the crescent, which is the sun, basically now being revealed after the eclipse. So we're now back to the partial phase in the other direction.
Exactly.
Now, how fast is this going?
Well, this shadow is passing across the country, depending on where you are, anywhere from 1,200 to 1,800 miles an hour. So this is moving incredibly fast because the moon itself, in its orbit, is moving at almost 3,400 miles an hour. And that, in combination with the rotation of the Earth, is what gives us a shadow moving that fast.
Okay, so Gotti, let's talk about space weather. Seeing this and space weather is so important. So just let us really understand why it's important on space weather.
So space weather is pretty much the conditions created outside in space due to the sun. We look at space weather because we want to understand these conditions. If you look at the image that you have now, you're going to see SDO image, the Solar Dynamic Observatory. That's where we actually look for the source of space weather, where the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections actually originate from. Well, when we look at SDO, at the images, we also have to look at artificial eclipses, like the one that you're looking at online now. These are actually from the SOHO spacecraft. These are the artificial eclipses that I was talking about, Dwayne. Like this, you have to block the solar surface to be able to see the solar atmosphere, the outside corona. But you're gonna see something like this today, and you saw it. But you're gonna see it better because nature does it better than we can actually do it artificially. Right now, the activity is there's not too much going on in the sun. However, if I do a historic event, which actually was from this past July, you can see a coronal mass ejection, this big explosion of particles that come from the sun.
Well, those look pretty intense. Do we have to worry about that? That doesn't look good.
Well, you know, space weather, what can actually do is affect communications. We have the magnetic field of the Earth to actually protect us. It's our shield. And what we do is we actually can analyze that using real-time models like the one that you're seeing on the screen, that we actually understand how the magnetic field of the Earth changes with those coronal mass ejections. But space weather can affect communications, satellite instruments, and power grids.
Okay, so we're going to toss to Idaho. And I think we've really got some good stuff here. Gay Hill, are you there in Idaho Falls?
I am absolutely here, Dwayne Brown. In fact, looking through the glasses right now, it's so weird. We have a crescent sun instead of a crescent moon. This is the... I think we haven't had a total eclipse here in Idaho Falls since 1889, 128 years ago. And things have certainly changed in Idaho Falls since then. There's a whole lot more people, especially with all the visitors in town. We're just outside the Museum of Idaho, and we have partnered with the museum to make this an official viewing site for Idaho. And they right now have an exhibit on space, but we also sent in a team of experts. And for the past 3 days, we've had talks, we've had demonstrations, we've shown them visualizations such as eyes on the solar system, and we've shown them artwork. But really, the order of the day is the eclipse, and NASA has that covered too. They have sent an army of volunteers. We call them solar system ambassadors. They are all along the path of totality, and they're volunteers. These are people just telling people what they're seeing and helping them understand. We have one here, right here. His name is Richard Stemper. Hey, Richard. He has been manning this mobile observatory, and that is what is providing our solar telescope shot right now. Now, we asked him, what's it like being a solar system ambassador? And he said, follow along. We did, and we went with him to a school in Southern California. Take a look. All right, we apologize. There is no audio on that video, but it talks about the solar system ambassadors. There are about 720 in the United States. They get special training from NASA. They learn all about the missions and about the science, and they basically go out to public events all over the country teaching them about NASA missions. If you would be interested in becoming a solar system ambassador yourself, you can. We have a website. Look it up, Solar System Ambassadors. It is a NASA website, and starting September 1 through the end of the month, you can sign up to be a solar system ambassador. So check it out on the web, Solar System Ambassador. With me now is Jim Green. Jim Green is the head of planetary science for NASA. He's in charge of all planetary missions and asteroids. This guy knows his stuff. Let's talk about this. Now, you see this eclipse that doesn't happen. It happens once in a lifetime.
Wow.
But as a scientist, you see it as an opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're getting the eerie feeling right now, but when we launch balloons, and there'll be 57 balloons along the path, 30 of which are going to have a planetary experiment on them.
And we have video of this. Now, just a few days ago, we had a crew here. They did a test launch for us, and they sent up an imaginary payload for us just to see how it all works. You have actual scientific experiments going up.
We do. We have a bacillus. It's a harmless bacteria. We have on 30 balloons 2 coupons where the bacteria will be sprayed. One will stay on the ground, one will be affixed to the balloon. It then will go up to 100,000 feet above the ozone. So the ultraviolet light, also blocked a little bit by the moon, is just like Mars. In addition to that, the temperature and pressure will be just like Mars. So when the balloon goes up higher and bursts, comes down, we'll retrieve that coupon off the balloon, match it with the one on the ground, and then we'll see how many survive.
Now, why is that information so critical for Mars research?
Well, this bacteria is pretty much everywhere. It's very hardy, and it probably has made its way to Mars, perhaps even on our rovers. And I would like to know if that environment is so harsh that it would eliminate that bacteria or not.
All right. I'm being selfish. I have never seen a total eclipse. And I'm sorry, I would love to talk to all of you people, but I want to put on my glasses too and take a look. Can we continue this conversation?
I have to do this too.
All right, and watch, and we can talk. All right, so
what
we
a little sliver.
Just a little sliver of the sun right now. And let's talk about this. Why is this so rare?
Well, you know, the plane of the moon relative to the Earth's sun line is tilted by 5 degrees. And so there's only 2 places where the moon and the Earth and sun are on that same line. And that's why every 18 months or so we get an eclipse.
The shadow is 1 minute.
1 minute away. Wow.
The crowd is getting excited.
Wow. It's already so
eerie. Wow, it just got dark all around us. And you can feel the temperature getting colder here.
Oh, yeah. The winds are really picking up. You know, this dark area, the winds are just flowing in.
Oh, you can see. It's just a tiny, tiny sliver right now. It's all closing up.
There it goes. It's going. Getting smaller.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at the ray structure. You can't get that on film. There's Venus.
Oh wow!
There's Venus. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, look at that ray structure.
You were saying this is the only way you can see the atmosphere.
Yeah, that lower part of the corona is really even hard from space to see. Wow. Wow. I got to spend a second looking around at the crowd. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
We should turn off the lights.
The red things are planets. Those are solar flares coming up on the surface of the sun.
It's like if there is a sunset.
All right, have to get ready to put it back on there soon.
Okay.
Everywhere there's a sunset.
Pretty quick.
Have you noticed, Jim? The street lights are all on around
the
us.
street lights turned on.
We confused the street lights.
Of course. Who would have thought that? We didn't plan that one.
All right, we should get ready for our glasses again. Get ready with your glasses.
Okay, there it goes. There's the diamond ring. There's the diamond ring.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wow.
That is
Was
so...
that all right?
Oh my gosh. Whoa! Oh, that's brilliant.
All right. Wow.
Okay, glasses back on.
Too brief. Too brief. Too brief.
Okay. We're going to have to wrap this up pretty soon, Jim. That was incredible.
Way too brief.
Yeah.
Way too brief.
We got a minute 50 seconds.
Yeah.
That was all we had. Why is it that some parts of the country get a little more than we do?
Well, it has to do with the curvature of the Earth also. And so the shadow is at various altitudes. You could go up at a higher altitude and get also a great view too.
Well, this was a real treat. This was fantastic. So Idaho Falls has had its total eclipse. The next one is coming in 2252. We won't be here, but we hope NASA will. Back to you.
Gay Hill, that's Gay Hill from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Gay, I'm jealous. I'm telling you, I'm jealous. So Alex, explain again that diamond.
Well, so the last bit of sunlight, when you see it at the very beginning, is when the last bit of the sun, the crescent, shrinks down to a little tiny bit. And at the same time, you can see a ring of the corona around it, so that makes the ring, and then that bright bit of crescent gives you the diamond. So when it reappears, you get the same thing. The last bit of corona is a ring, the flash of the sun is the diamond, giving you the diamond ring. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight.
And real quick, and then I'm gonna ask you a question, because there was something going on here in Charleston. The planetary, Jim Green said something about Venus. This is really cool for planetary science because you can see other planets, right?
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, one of our missions through the WB-57 aircraft are studying Mercury, which is very, very close to the sun.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to you, and we're gonna talk about what's happening here. So the next up, NASA's ready to take a bite out of the Big Apple, one of my favorite cities, Jotty, New York City. New York City. Today's broadcast is being shown, I believe, in Times Square on the Toshiba Vision screen, so the city can also enjoy the spectacular views of today's total eclipse. And we've got a great relationship with Toshiba, so a shout out to you guys. This Midtown Manhattan tourist location is always bustling with crowds. On the average day, over 300,000 people pass through Times Square. Alex, I'm gonna turn to you. You know, New York, they're going to get a partial, but they have a rich history in solar eclipses.
They really do. So actually 92 years ago, on a cold January morning, New York City, Manhattan, and Queens experienced a total solar eclipse. The edge of the path of totality went from 95th Street to 97th Street. This was an amazing opportunity. This was the first time we sent up 2 dirigibles with the U.S. Naval Service for scientists to study this. At the time, we actually thought eclipses could be creating radio waves which mess with communication. But what in fact is happening is the sun itself is creating this disturbance. So studying the eclipse is actually telling us about the sun, which is creating these disturbances here on Earth.
Yes.
Okay, so this just in. I believe we have results from an experiment that occurred on NASA's Gulfstream 3 aircraft from NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center. Karen Rohr is standing by with Thomas Zabukin, the Research Administrator for the NASA Science Mission Directorate. Let's go now to see what the instrument observed during the total solar eclipse. Kevin.
Ready as I'll ever be with this.
And we're back here at the G3 up over the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Oregon. And it was amazing, wasn't it?
It was outstanding.
And so for me, like, you know, at 25 years I did research on the corona. I saw it for the first time. It was my first eclipse. Was it your first eclipse?
My first eclipse as well.
Just absolutely amazing. And I want to talk about 2 things. First of all, the shape of the corona. You know, I saw the models, I showed the model, and it was remarkably similar. You know, I saw these streamers, these magnetic structures coming out like glows in specific directions, just like we expected. So I'll look for the analysis before we claim victory, of course. But the other one is that spectrograph you, Mike, you know, ran on board. And just before that the sun, you know, disappeared behind the moon, that spectrograph, of course, is spreading out the light in all its colors. Just before it disappeared, there is that one shot. And Laurie, I want to ask you whether you can turn it on. Do you see those specific kind of lines that pop up between the green and the red? It's just like we said, it's helium. Remember, that's how it was discovered, helium. We didn't know we had helium here. It was a new element. It was discovered that way. And then over there in the red, between the green and the red, is iron. Iron, a really hot iron, telling us that, hey, this atmosphere is really hot. And then a little bit over, it's another line, red. Well, what is that? Well, it's hydrogen. Well, so even though it's really hot up there and only 1 in a million or 10 of million particles are neutral, it's still visible in that one shot that you saw. So Robert, back to you here, back on Earth. What did you feel like? How did you see this occur?
Yeah, so it was fascinating to watch actually the shadow or the path of totality underneath us. We're at 35,000 feet, and you could see at totality, you could actually see the darkness down on the ground. And you could look north and south and see where it wasn't completely dark. And as we kept going, you could just watch that darkness move. It was almost like a thunderstorm moving across the plains, but it was all the darkness, and it was just stunning to me to see that. So really, really good stuff, and I wasn't expecting that. And of course, the eclipse itself was beautiful, but seeing what happened down on the ground level of Earth from 35,000 feet was amazing. I just got to tell you, the team on this plane and the team all the way around this country is just doing a fantastic job. I wish you could have seen the folks here working to make sure we got the data that Thomas showed, some fantastic images we've already looked at that I can't wait to share with everybody and for everybody to see. But really exciting to watch this team work, and the pilots did a great job. We had a little bit of a challenge right at the time of when we needed to be best, but they did a great job recovering from that, and then kept us on path all the way through. So anyway, so thank you guys. Remember to put your glasses on for those of you who hadn't seen it yet, and we'll talk to you soon.
Fantastic stuff. And if you just tuned in here, you're watching Through the Eyes of NASA, NASA television. We have the best views of the solar eclipse today and coming later in the show. You don't want to miss this, the International Space Station live. Now, next up, let's visit a working farm at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee. Agricultural observations and solar eclipse viewing activities are underway, including high-altitude balloon launches and painting cows.
Painting cows? What?
Okay, all right. So now let's go to the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. Chris Blair standing by.
Humans are naturally excited about the solar eclipse, but one thing we've learned on this working agricultural farm is that animals can as well. But more on that in a moment, as right now we're getting ready to do a live scientific balloon launch. And joining us to tell us more is Dominic Critchlow from Austin Peay State University. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So tell the crowd and our audience a little bit about the scientific payload you have on board.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Today we're flying some still image equipment, and we're going to be taking images of the ground in different wavelengths. And we're also flying live streaming equipment, so we can live stream the eclipse looking downwards and looking around, and at 100,000 feet, which is higher than any plane has ever gone. We're also flying some biological samples with NASA Ames, and then our trackers, so we can have a successful recovery.
Okay, and they've just released your balloon, so let's talk about the NASA science and the biological samples. Explain more.
So NASA Ames has contacted us and all of the other teams that are going to be doing launches today across the whole path of the eclipse. We're going to all have a little chip of biological samples on today across the whole path of the eclipse. We're going to all have a little chip of biological samples on there that are going to go up in the stratosphere, which is a similar atmosphere as we would see on the Martian surface. So we're doing some Martian studies, which is really interesting and cool.
We are very excited about that. And so also, how many balloon releases are you planning on doing this today or this weekend?
And so all across the U.S., we have about 50 teams that are launching in the path of the eclipse so that we can have a full coverage of the stream. And on the site today, we have 3 launches from 3 different universities. And we're just really excited to be here and hopefully all successful launches.
All right, so finally these balloons do go up and they come back down. And so what's some advice if anyone finds one of these payloads out and about across the country? What's a tip you would tell them?
If you find it, leave it there. Maybe take a picture because it's kind of cool to see something land in your backyard from research. And please don't touch it. We'll be there soon to pick it up. If you have to move it, let us know, and we'll just be there to recover it.
Awesome. Thanks. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so yesterday we had a chance to catch up with some serious students, albeit a little younger, but serious about doing real-world science nonetheless. And here to tell us more is my good friend and colleague, Mitzi Adams from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Mitzi, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So tell us about the science that these high school students are working on.
Well, the students are actually working on some atmospheric science experiments. They're doing animal study experiments, and they're helping us observe the sun in various wavelengths of light.
And these students aren't just from the Clarksville area. I understand they're all around the country, if not perhaps the globe.
The students are from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and yes, they are from all around the globe. And they're actually from the Inspire project as well. They're participating in VLF radio noise experiments, and those folks are from Washington, D.C.
All right, excellent. So you mentioned the Space and Rocket Center, Space Camp. That's the official visitor center for NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Feel free, if you're in northern Alabama, to come and see us. They do a great job of representing a past, future, and present history of NASA. So any parting words?
Well, you know, in the words of Frank Reynolds, I'd like for us to remember for the next American eclipse in 2024, let the shadow of the moon fall on an Earth at peace.
Very poetically done. We appreciate it. All right, so up next is, as promised, our Animal Lovers segment. And so here on the agricultural farm, students are studying really cool STEM fields. So it's conservation management, it's veterinary medicine, animal biology, and so they're interested in animal behavior. And so joining us is Dr. Donald Sudbrink, head of the Ag Department here at Austin Peay State University. And so it's not cow tipping, it's cow painting, correct?
Yes. We had to paint the cows that are in this study to see what sort of things that they would do so we could record the individual animals so we could see what behaviors that they were exhibiting.
So we saw the cows, and the students were involved with that Mitzi just spoke about. And we're also talking about cricket behavior and cricket observations.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we're also talking about crickets. I'm an entomologist by training, and crickets generally chirp at night. So we're going to get a chance to see a series of isolated males and see what they do when the sun goes out.
Okay, excellent. Well, glad you all are doing this kind of observational research. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, and speaking of time, it's almost time for us, everyone here at Austin Peay State University, to actually watch the solar eclipse. So let's go back live for continuing coverage of NASA's eclipse across America from Charleston.
Okay, so Yadi, I wonder if the milk tastes better when you paint the cows.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, let's go to social media. We've been in the show here, and I know it's a buzz. So over to John Yearbrick for social media update.
Yeah, last time I looked, Dwayne, there were 2.1 million people looking online on our website, and 1.2 on our live stream. So it was a huge conversation, and Solar Eclipse 2017 is still trending #1 on Twitter. So it's been huge. Can we go to the first slide here that I've got up? This right here is an amazing photo. Sometimes they say you have to be at the right place at the right time. This is taken by one of our NASA photographers, Bill Ingalls, out in Washington. And he captured, it's hard to see here in this pic, but he captured the International Space Station transiting the sun during the partial eclipse there in Washington. Pretty amazing. You kind of have to look closely. We'll also be putting these images up online if you want to see them. But one of those little dots there is the International Space Station traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. Here's another one from our photographer in Wyoming. Same concept, capture the space station. We knew exactly when the space station was going to be flying, what its orbit was, and when it was going to cross the sun. And look here, it's just an amazing sight. I'm really proud of our photographers for getting these shots and proactively trying to get something that no one else probably has and thinking through and getting this great image. So let's take a few questions from social media. I want to remind our viewers at home that you can ask questions to us here on the set and on social media with the hashtag Eclipse 2017. So why don't we bring it back here to the stage? First question is from Twitter. What if we wear sunglasses instead of eclipse glasses? Will we actually be able to see the eclipse? The sunglasses help? Does it give you any sort of protection?
No, that's definitely a no-no. You should not wear sunglasses, normal sunglasses. Always wear the actual sunglasses that are made for solar viewing, like the ones that I'm having here right now in my hand. And if you don't have the sunglasses, you never look directly at the sun. You look like you do an indirect projection of that eclipse. Never look at the sun without the proper safety.
So another question here comes from Deborah from Facebook. So the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the Earth rotates in clockwise motion. Please explain how it starts in the west and ends in the east.
Well, so the Earth is rotating from west to east, but actually the moon is moving faster, about 3,400 miles an hour, casting a shadow down on the Earth, which is rotating about 1,700 miles an hour. And that actually means that the shadow is moving from west to east across the Earth at about somewhere between 1,200 to 1,800 miles per hour, depending on where you are on the Earth.
Okay, great. We have another one. I think we have time for another one. Tina from Facebook's asked, if I place a lens from the eclipse viewing glasses over a viewfinder on my iPad, could I successfully video the eclipse, or would it fry my camera?
Yeah, you can actually look with the iPad or your phone to the eclipse. The only thing is, you have to be very careful not to look at it with your own eyes without the actual safety glasses. Never look at it through any lens.
Okay. This is Mickey from Facebook. Hey, NASA, can the International Space Station see the shadow of the moon crossing America from space? Do they have that view when they're looking from space?
They do, and that's what we're hoping to see from them, yes.
Excellent. So, John, we're going to come back to you. So I think we're going to go back to Sean, our meteorologist. Let's learn more about how NASA is studying the Earth and Sun relationship during this eclipse. Sean, can you tell us more about that?
Right, thanks, Dwayne. So during the eclipse, the moon acts like a giant cloud as it passes over areas in the path of totality, casting a large shadow on Earth's surface. Now, the footage you're seeing right now shows a solar eclipse that occurred in March of 2016 over Indonesia. That experience helped us determine how best to study today's eclipse. These images were taken by NASA's EPIC instrument aboard NOAA's Deep Space Climate Observatory, or DISCOVER. It's just one of the instruments we'll be using today to study the eclipse as we monitor changes in Earth's energy balance. Scientists have made extensive atmospheric measurements during eclipses before, but this is the first opportunity to collect coordinated data from both the ground and from a spacecraft that observes the entire sunlit Earth during an eclipse. Dwayne, back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, so now we have a special guest with us today, the Associate Administrator for NASA's Office of Communication, Jinray Wong. Jinray, welcome.
Dwayne, thank you. So happy to be here.
Oh, it's an exciting day.
It's a
I'm glad
wonderful
you
day.
could join the team here. And our next location you are pretty familiar with, I'm sure.
I'm very blessed, and I do know something about the great state of Nebraska. I've actually lived there for the last decade, and I have friends and family who are watching there from the path of totality. I have to tell you, this is by far the biggest thing that's happened in Nebraska as of recent. It's absolutely fabulous. I have had friends from high school and college calling me up, Facebook messaging me, asking where they can get their glasses, where they should be viewing from. So it's just a really exciting day for everyone who's watching along the path of totality. It's also a really exciting day for NASA. And in fact, this gives us an opportunity to look forward as well. And we have a future study that we are going to be doing for to study the sun. NASA is going to launch a new spacecraft next year, the Parker Solar Probe, and it will fly directly into the solar atmosphere. The mission will provide first of its kind data. And for more information on this future mission, let's go to Beatrice, Nebraska, where Vince Whitfield from NASA's Langley Research Center is standing by. He's at Homestead National Monument, where the National Park Service has coordinated an eclipse viewing. Vince?
And just in, I think we're having, Vince is going to come up shortly, Jinray, so we're going to go back with an image, but we will be doing Nebraska as soon as we can. So a shout out to the great state.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, Jody and Alex, this is a different view here. What are we seeing, Alex?
Well, so we're looking at a different wavelength of visible light. It's called calcium K. So this is light that's produced by excited calcium. And this is showing us the sun as the moon is moving over it. And in fact, if you look over to the left, on the edge of the sun, you actually see sunspots.
A sunspot, yeah.
And these are regions that heliophysicists like myself and Jari are most interested in, because that's where solar explosions originate from. In fact, the magnetic fields that come up into the corona that we see during the total solar eclipse originate from those sunspots.
Actually, this sunspot had a solar flare yesterday.
Right, and I believe this is coming from Carbondale. So that's now it's why is it purple? Is that what's the color?
That's actually the light and the color of the light in the filter. The color is a bluish light, and so it comes out as a purple color. But it is a type of visible light, and it's one we look at quite often from both space and the ground and look in the sun.
Now I see some black thingies, look like a little river. You see it over there near the corner on the left?
Yeah, that's the sunspot.
Now, what's a sunspot, just for our audience here?
Those are the regions where most of the space weather actually originates. The solar flares, the coronal mass ejections are regions of the sun that have very complicated magnetic fields. And these are where most of the magnetic energy is actually released.
Right, so those are regions of super intense magnetic field, 1,000 times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field. and those have lots of energy and they drive space weather.
Okay, I think that's why we didn't get the Nebraska feed right now. Those things cause that, I think, right?
That's right. We're getting a little glitch.
Hopefully we get Nebraska. Okay, Sean, we're going back over to you. Talk about moon shattering.
Dwayne, we've got some really incredible imagery for you. This is again from the GOES-16 weather satellite just launched last year by NASA for our friends at NOAA. And what you're seeing in the western portion of this image is actually the moon's shadow being cast over parts of the path of totality. And of course, you see the cloud cover across the U.S. as well. And as I was telling you earlier, it's actually looking pretty good for most of the western parts of the U.S. that are in the path of totality. Not so good for maybe parts of the central U.S., where we've got some thunderstorm activity developing and expected to develop later today, this afternoon, for places like Nebraska, parts of Nebraska and Missouri and northern Illinois, so maybe north of Carbondale, and then gets better again as you see in terms of cloud cover as we move further east toward Charleston here. But here in Charleston, we still have some breaks in the cloud. Where the sun is, it's still obscured, but we are able to actually see some of the partial eclipse here in Charleston through some of the breaks in cloud. But again, really wanted to show you guys that imagery from GOES-16 satellite from NOAA showing you the moon's shadow actually being cast over parts of the western United States right now. With that, Dwayne, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Sean. Now, as a reminder, our broadcast is tracking the total solar eclipse as it crosses the United States. It's moving along a path of totality. That's a 70-mile wide path sweeping across the entire nation. Over 12 million people live inside the path of totality, plus it's estimated that close to 7 million people have traveled to cities within the path of totality. I know that today is truly a day of celebration as people gather in cities and festivals to view today's celestial event. So let's get into the cultural impact here, guys. Alex, what's your take on the cultural impact of these eclipses?
Well, you know, this is really such a fantastic opportunity to connect the nation and, in fact, the world with one of nature's most amazing celestial events. And this is something that we, as working at NASA, are really excited to be able to share. And in fact, we even work with some of our colleagues in other parts like the U.S. Postal Service.
Yes, the U.S. Postal Service actually create a special stamp for this event.
Right. So what I want to do, let's talk about the stamp.
Sure.
But Jen Ray Charleston, Nebraska, the sunspots are gone, so let's go to Nebraska. Vince Whitfield, are you there?
Hi, we're at the Homestead National Monument of America. This is a great location to watch the eclipse, and we've staked out a good spot here on the prairie. Even though the weather isn't cooperating, this is still an excellent event. We're also very prepared. Please make sure to use your protective glasses when viewing the eclipse wherever you are. You can cause serious damage to your eyes if you don't take precautions while watching. And there are a lot of people watching. As you can tell, the festivities, just like the eclipse, are in full swing. I'm joined by Chief Park Ranger Susan Cook.
Hey Vince, how are you?
Great, Susan. Thanks for joining me today. Please tell us about this amazing place and what's going on behind us.
Well, we are at Homestead National Monument of America. We are a national park site dedicated to telling the story of homesteading. 30 states, 4 million people, 10% of the United States was homesteaded. The head of a household, anybody could own land as long as you could be a U.S. citizen. You got 160 acres. It's how we settled the West. We built our democracy, we built our economy, settling the West through this law.
That is just so interesting. Now, I understand the Mayan calendar followed the solar eclipse calendar closely. Is that correct?
It did. The ancient Mayan used several different calendars to organize their secular and spiritual lives. Many of these calendars had strong roots in the motions of celestial objects, especially the sun and the moon. And the Hab calendar is a solar calendar of 365 days, subdivided into 18 months of 20 days, plus 1 month of 5 days. Another calendar is a Tzolk'in made of 260 days, subdivided into 13 months of 20 days. This calendar also has a resonance with eclipses, which occur about every 173 days. Every 3 sequences of eclipses aligns every 2 cycles of the Tzolk'in. Who could keep track of that, frankly?
It's just amazing. Now, as a Chief Park Ranger, I have to congratulate you. This is a fantastic venue. Tell us about some of the activities you have planned.
Well, actually, right now you can feel it getting darker, but we have stage performances going on. We have many NASA scientists. You can learn about planetary defense, how do we defend our world. You have NASA scientists doing Other things, we have Native Americans, we have a Mayan Calendar in the Sky program, we have folk music, we have all sorts of fiddle music.
Lots going on.
Lots of things, balloon launches, so there's things all around us. It's really exciting and a lot of fun.
Got to say, the amount going on here, Susan, is incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. And we're lucky enough to be joined by a real NASA scientist. Let me introduce you to Dr. Nikki Fox.
Hi Vince, how are you today?
Great, Nikki. Thanks for joining us. Nikki is a space weather expert and a mission project scientist on NASA's Parker Solar Probe program. Thanks so much for joining us, Nikki. Today is a great day for you. Tell us why.
Well, today I'm really excited. This is my first ever solar eclipse, and it's the only chance that we can see the corona with our naked eye. And I'm particularly excited because I'm working on NASA's Parker Solar Probe mission, and we are going to fly into the corona. So if the clouds part here, you'll be able to see where our mission is flying.
That's just incredible. Now, how close will you get to the sun?
We will get to within 4 million miles, and I know that doesn't sound terribly close, but if I put the Earth and the sun apart on a football field, then we would be at the 4-yard line.
That's just amazing. Now, for you watching at home, that's kind of like traveling from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia in about 1 second. Just incredible speeds. Now, how can you be so close to the sun and not burn up?
So we have a wonderful heat shield, but we also, the technology, it's been 60 years since this mission was first thought of, and it's only now that technology has caught up with our dreams.
That's just amazing. Now, it looks like we're coming up to the moment of totality here on the prairie. What are some of the things we should be looking for?
So if it clears, you should see a beautiful corona, and that it looks like a pearly, hazy crown around the sun. And in fact, it's called a corona because that's Latin for crown. And then as it's going beautifully dark here, it's becoming twilight. You hear everyone going crazy here. You should be able to start seeing stars, and we can actually see 4 planets. This time you should see Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and Venus all in this night sky during the day. So it's just an amazing, amazing experience. And if you can't see the corona, I do have a map of it here. This is a 3D print that was done for me, and it looks exactly, it's a predict of what the corona looks like today. So if it's cloudy, here's your corona.
Now, it looks like the moment of totality is upon us. Let's just take let the guys at home have a few moments to take in the sights and sounds of the crowd as totality happens on the prairie.
Oh, wow. And you can see the corona, and I may cry, but you can see the corona. So now you're seeing this wonderful hazy atmosphere. I don't need my glasses now, Vince, because we are in totality.
Wow.
And so this is the only time that it's safe to look. But right now you can see that hazy ring. That is the chromosphere. It is looking a little bit sort of reddish. And you just see there's those red wisps are little prominences that are coming away from the sun.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we can't quite see the stars yet because of the clouds. But my goodness, you can see the corona, and that is an absolutely incredible, incredible sight.
Yeah, this is just magnificent.
It really is. Everything's kind of, well, other than the people hooting and hollering here, everything else has gone quiet. The animals think it's nighttime. There's this amazing sort of twilight view all around us. And just look at that corona. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yep, and the moon is going to continue. We've got about 2 minutes, 35 seconds of this amazing view. And then here we come. Here comes the diamond ring. So it is glasses on again time. Glasses on. And here it comes. There's the diamond ring. And that is the most spectacular sight.
That's amazing.
That is just incredible. And of course the diamond ring you see because the moon is not a totally smooth sphere. And so you're seeing little spots of light peeping out between the craters on the moon. And my goodness, I'm sorry, I'm so excited. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's hard to convey the excitement of the energy. There are 10,000 people on the prairie here at the Homestead National Monument of America, and the energy is just amazing.
And they've been here, a lot of them have been here since 6 o'clock this morning, and the atmosphere has been incredible. Everybody is happy, and it has just been amazing.
That's just amazing.
Wow.
Okay, Nikki, let's bring you over to this side. It looks like the moment of totality has passed us here.
Yes.
Now, what should we be watching for in the moments after totality?
In the moments after totality, you will start to see again the Bailey's bead. So we did see that diamond ring, and I got super excited. But as the moon continues now to pass away, you'll start to see the solar surface come back. It's becoming light again. If we had any roosters here, they would actually be crowing. So it's amazing, and you'll start to see the sun coming back. And I don't know, I always think what it would have been like if you didn't know the sun was going to come back. You just thought it was disappearing, but here comes the sun again. So it's a wonderful, wonderful day here on the prairie.
That's wonderful. Nikki, what an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for talking us through that.
I wouldn't be anywhere else, Vince. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What a great experience, everybody. That is amazing. Now, it looks like things are starting to calm down here on the prairie, but that doesn't mean the show is over. Our coverage of the Path of Totality continues across the entire path. So, let's go ahead and send it back to NASA's Eclipse Central.
Thank you, Vince. It was well worth the wait, my friend. We were a little delayed there, but my goodness. Jody, did you see that? I mean...
That was amazing. Do you see that diamond ring?
That was, you know, it was even more prominent there.
It was very prominent. You could see like the ray of light, like very, very nice, and the whole diamond around the whole surface. It was amazing.
And Alex, it got really dark. I mean,
it really did. That's actually enjoyed seeing them out on that prairie and seeing. It looked like she was in some sort of weird, strange light, and she was lit up, and everything behind her was dark. It was really cool.
Fantastic. Nebraska, you rocking the house. We really, really appreciate that. But like Vince said, there's a lot more to come, and we got the International Space Station. Don't forget. So, Jody, I want to go back. You know, we had to bring in those images, but we were talking about, and you mentioned the stamp. Now, the United States Post Service, they do amazing work.
They do.
But they really outdid themselves this time. Go ahead and finish.
They did. They actually created a special stamp for this event. It's actually a thermochromic stamp, which means that it gets activated by heat, and you're actually looking at it now in your images. This stamp, if you put your thumb into the center, it will actually make the moon surface appear, or any type of heat that you apply to it. It's an amazing stamp, and you know, I got mine yesterday thanks to Dwayne.
And it's thermochromic?
Thermochromic, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It means it gets activated by the heat.
Yeah, heat of your thumb, and I bet you they sold a lot of those stamps.
Oh, they did. They sold out online originally right away. So it was quite a popular one. It's the first time the U.S. has ever used that type of ink.
Okay, so we have seen some pretty cool images. Still got some more to come.
Yeah.
The diamond has been prominent. Let's go over to social and see how things are going. John.
Thanks, Dwayne. We're continuing to look up here in Charleston, South Carolina, because there are some clouds here, and we're excited. That excitement we want to have here too as well. Just a couple quick interesting things. This is the biggest live stream event ever measured on NASA.gov. The web traffic is accounting for 87% of all federal web traffic, which is pretty amazing, showing that people are really, really tuning into our broadcast here. As of 1:40 p.m., 4.4 million people climbing or watching this broadcast. So the interest across the country is obvious here, and we're going to continue to show you some amazing live views. This right here is, again, another photo of the space station taken by Bill Ingalls in Washington, one of our photographers here at NASA. Next thing, I have a video from another photographer, one of our other photographers, as the space station transits. You can see it there. If you're looking closely, you can see the space station transiting the sun during the partial eclipse. Pretty spectacular. Again, that's 250 miles per hour, that space station. And you have to be, 250 miles above the Earth, 17,500 miles per hour. You have to be taking a lot of different shots pretty fast to capture that. So nice job, Joel.
Okay, so let's go to Jefferson City. The moon shadow is continuing to pass over the United States in this remarkable celestial event. Our next stop on the path, as I said, of totality is Jefferson City, Missouri. We're going to hand off to meteorologist Eric Aldrich, who is a professor in atmospheric science at the University of Missouri. He has some special guests to help explain two important impacts solar activity can have on humans and the technologies we use. Over to you, Eric.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, we are live in Jefferson City, Missouri. Jefferson City is actually the state capital, and as you can see behind me, there's a lot of people that are here. It's been a whole weekend type of thing, Saturday, Sunday, and of course here on Monday, lots of family-friendly things. There's been corn mazes, there's been 5K runs, there's a lot of good food. Too bad you can't smell the food, but there's a lot of good food that's here as well. And just a very nice weekend. The weather has been perfect. We've had some showers and thunderstorms off to the west all morning. We've had a few high clouds kind of stream on in, but certainly things are looking really good. I am lucky to be joined here by two special people that are going to be talking about space, weather, and just how things work in space. Dr. Janet Kavandi, thank you so much. You are the director of the NASA Glenn Research Center in Cleveland. Right. You're also a three-time shuttle astronaut.
That's right.
And you are actually from Springfield, Missouri.
I
so
am.
welcome home.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Well, great.
Yeah.
So now, we've been talking a lot about safety, and obviously you don't want to look right up at the sun.
Not without these.
That's right. And so we all have some, so that's good. But what about the astronauts that are up in space? What is there to help keep the astronauts safe from the solar radiation and so on and so forth?
Well, for their eyes, we know that they know that certain windows they should not look out of because there's no protection. Other windows have protection on them that help shield their eyes. But also there's other kinds of radiation like protons that come from the sun, heavier particles that can cause damage to our cells. And we try to shield the astronauts as best we can because they're above the atmosphere. We're shielded here by the atmosphere quite a bit. But above that, you don't have that natural shielding. So we have to do it with metal in the vehicle and then some water bags around the sleep station so that they can sleep surrounded by water, and that also helps absorb some of that radiation.
Okay. Now, we also are kind of excited about space communications, and that's certainly another special research area. And so also with me here today is Dr. Tamitha Skov. Now, you're from the Aerospace Corporation in Los Angeles, so welcome to Central Missouri.
Thank you.
Now, you're also a space meteorologist.
Yes.
And you are also referred to as the space weather woman.
I am.
Right? So I've been intrigued by this. What exactly does a space weather woman do?
Well, most people don't realize that the sun actually has its own unique weather that comes from it. And those solar eruptions that come from the sun, they actually hit Earth and cause issues for us. So I actually do a weekly broadcast, weather predictions, just like you do, like a meteorologist, that talks about when these events hit Earth and the types of issues that they cause for things like communications, like GPS and other systems.
Okay, now we're just about 15 seconds away, actually, I believe, from totality.
Put our glasses on.
So we're going to put our glasses on. You can hear the crowd cheering in the background, and it is getting dark.
We're getting close to Bailey Beads. Here we go. We're almost at totality.
And
you can see
here
the
we go.
There's almost a diamond ring right there. And there we go. I think we're at totality. So now you can take your glasses off.
That is amazing.
Listen to that. You can actually see the corona a little bit even through the clouds.
That is incredible. Now, Dr. Kavandi, you've been in space. You've seen numerous sunrises and sunsets from the space shuttle. How does this event compare?
Oh, this is completely different than anything I've seen before. I never saw an eclipse. I've seen a partial, but nothing like this. This is really unique and nothing like I saw in space. Space has this really cool visuals, but this is really amazing.
And I'm starting to hear the crickets. They're starting to come on out. Obviously, the street lamps. This is just amazing. Now, I'm also looking up to try to find the Big Dipper and some of the other stars, some of the other planets.
Not through the clouds, likely.
Right.
And I'm really mesmerized by this. This is a spectacular event. We've had several solar storms that have been launched, and some of them have been launched from the left side of the sun. So we're actually seeing a difference from what the corona looked like in our predictions to what it looks like now. And then on top of that, we have ham radio operators all over the state right now who are making contacts that they haven't been able to make because the upper atmosphere is just all turbulent right now, and it affects the communication signals. So we've got GPS operators and ham radio operators doing a ton of science, and it's just so overwhelming.
This is amazing. Now, my team of atmospheric science researchers from the University of Missouri, they are actually sending up weather balloons here this afternoon to try to figure out how the weather is changing at certain height levels. And actually, here's a map of the solar radiation throughout the state of Missouri, and you can kind of see how much solar radiation is hitting the surface of the Earth here in Missouri. Just interesting. This is amazing.
It is. You can tell the crowd is just mesmerized. This is so cool. And you can even see the dips and the valleys, as you can see little areas of the sun where it's shining through more.
Right, and those create the Bailey beads that we see as we get out of totality, which is coming up here pretty soon.
Right.
Not quite yet, though.
Yeah, I think we come out of totality at 1:15:35 local time, and so we just have a few more seconds of that. Absolutely an amazing event. And again, we're so lucky that some of these high clouds were able to kind of
fall apart.
kind of fall apart a little bit so we could experience
Part
this.
for us, yes. And I can't believe we can actually see the corona through the clouds.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the air horn. We're coming out of totality. We're going to
So
have to end up going.
So we need to put our safety
In just
eyeglasses back.
there we go. Put your barely be. There we go. We got to put the glasses back on. Oh my goodness.
So as you can see, we're coming out of totality here in Jefferson City, Missouri. Ladies, thank you so much for experiencing this with me. Thank you.
Quite an experience. Thank
yes,
you very
it was.
much.
Thank you. So everyone's excited here in Jefferson City, Missouri. The sun's starting to come out a little bit. We're going to go ahead and send it back to Charleston.
We should have stayed.
Thanks, Eric. Yadi, wow.
It's an amazing, like, I get goosebumps every time I see this. And so I cannot imagine how it's going to be, you know, when we actually see it here in South Carolina.
I mean, so Alex, you know, I'm speechless, man. I mean, as a scientist, you gotta like love this stuff,
oh
right?
My God, and it's so great to hear that. I mean, I love hearing an experienced astronaut talk about how overwhelming it is, given the amazing things that she has seen, but also to hear my colleague, Tamitha Scove, who is also a heliophysicist and a space weather expert. I can hear the excitement in her voice. I mean, it's palpable. It's just great.
Okay. So check this out, guys. I mean, I think things are going so smooth. We're going to go to another image right now from Hopkinsville. Brian Massey out there from Marshall Space Flight Center. What's going on? You got some action there. Hopkinsville. There it is.
That's beautiful. They're getting close.
Now, it's yellow. Is that, we had purple, does that mean something there?
Well, the previous one we saw that was purple was calcium K. It was a blue kind of light. This is actually more of a white light, continuous. Yeah. But the thing to remember is sometimes the different filters you use will change the color just a little bit. But what we're seeing here is really more visible, broader spectrum white light.
Okay.
White light.
Let me, John, you got to have some cool stuff on social media.
This is a good question, guys. Mark from Facebook's asking, and this is what really applies right now. When observing the moon at night, I see it proceed from eastern to western horizon, much like the sun does. How come the solar eclipse is traveling from west to east across the U.S.?
Well, again, that's because when we're looking at the moonrise, that's actually because of our location on the Earth and the fact that the Earth is rotating from west to east. The same reason that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But the moon itself is moving in the same direction the Earth is rotating, and it's casting that shadow down on the Earth, and that is moving in the direction that that both the moon is orbiting and the Earth is rotating. So from west to east.
Okay, so the total eclipse has now passed over half the country. It's currently over Illinois, and I think we're going to have some views coming up shortly. But what I really want to do here, guys, is this has been really incredible. I want to give a shout out to the College of Charleston. Make some noise. Oh, we're loving it here. So now we've got live video coming to us from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It's a small town that's known for southern hospitality, like Charleston, and it's also a prime spot for viewing this total solar eclipse. Hopkinsville is the city with the longest duration of the total solar eclipse, for a total of 2 minutes and 40 seconds of totality. NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, Brian Massey, I'm so excited. What you got, man?
Dwayne, we're just as excited as you are. We are here in Eclipseville. Say hello, everybody. Oh, we're having a great time. I'm surrounded by 1,000 of my best friends. We're getting ready. It's starting to get a little darker already. We're also joined here by NASA Marshall Planetary Scientist, Renee Weber. Renee, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's really great to be here. I just want to say thank you to the city of Hopkinsville for having us out on this beautiful farm in Kentucky, and we're just all really excited.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. The light's starting to fade, and the excitement's getting bigger. We are at the point of greatest eclipse here at Hopkinsville. Renee, tell us a little bit, what's the the significance of that?
Well, the point of greatest eclipse is actually a point in time when the axis of the moon's shadow is pointed most directly towards the center of the Earth.
Great.
So we are at the point on the surface of the Earth where that time occurs.
Exactly. The shadow will actually be more circular here than anywhere else in the country, correct?
That's right. And it's getting really dim, and we are just so close. It's incredible.
Yeah, this is amazing. We can't wait to break out in the darkness. We've got our glasses out. We've been looking up at it. You can see now on the screen our live telescope view, and this is just amazing. Everybody is really enjoying it. We've got people from all over Kentucky, people from all over the world have joined us here, as this is Eclipseville, USA, and we are just a few minutes away from totality. But before we get to that point, Renee, tell us, you're a planetary scientist and you specialize in the moon, a lunar scientist. How does the eclipse really speak to what you do?
Well, it is pretty cool to look up there, and when you're seeing that sun get dimmer and dimmer, it's because the moon is up there. Right. And I like to tell everyone that you're really looking at the moon when you're watching a solar eclipse, and it's just getting dim, and it's starting to get a lot cooler too. Yeah, it's incredible.
Crazy. This is my first solar eclipse. Renee, have you ever experienced one?
This is my first total eclipse too. I've seen partial eclipses, but I've never had a chance to see totality before, and I'm just so excited.
It's amazing. The light is starting to fade as the moon steps in front of the sun here, and it's already just a really eerie feeling here, getting dark in the middle of the day. But we're really excited about it, and we're just a few seconds away. I've lost my counter, but I'm going to look back at the sun while I still have the opportunity. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. We're down to just a thin sliver of the sun. Renee, what do you think about this?
I can't believe it. It's just, it looks incredible, and it really is starting to get dim, and nobody even needs their sunglasses, just your eclipse glasses, and you can see that beautiful crescent sun.
Wow, this is absolutely amazing.
We're just really looking forward to that for a chance. We got no clouds here in the sky, and you can see some airplanes up there, but that sun is just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it's definitely a Hopkinsville, Kentucky Chamber of Commerce sponsored day here in Eclipseville. There's not a cloud in the sky, and it's amazing how it's gotten so much cooler here since the sun started covering up started being covered.
Yeah, it's nice to have a break from that hot southern sun.
Yeah, definitely. We've been sweating it out a couple days here in Hopkinsville getting ready for this.
We're getting really close now.
So what exactly are we looking at here, Renee?
Well, we're just about close to 100%. It's just getting smaller and smaller, and it's getting dimmer and dimmer, and hopefully soon we'll have a chance to see those Bailey's beads and that diamond ring. Right. That's when you can actually see the light shining through the moon's valleys. The moon's not a perfectly smooth sphere. It's got that rugged surface, and you can see those sun rays shining through those mountains and valleys and craters.
Wow.
It's looking like we're about 1 minute out now, and it's just getting smaller and smaller.
Wow, this is amazing.
The crowd's getting really excited too.
Hey guys, who back there is excited for the solar eclipse? Wow, it's getting closer.
Wow. It's just getting really close to nighttime. It's incredible. It's like very dim.
Definitely it feels like dawn or dusk here in Hopkinsville right now as it's getting closer.
Come on! And you can see on our feed, there's that tiny, tiny little sliver left to go. And it's really starting to get dark now. Wow. It's like dusk.
Gracious.
And you can see the pink color around the horizon. Oh, it's like a sunset. It's beautiful. It's going. It's going. Just that tiny, tiny last sliver. Oh my goodness.
And we are in total solar eclipse, and this is absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, you can see the corona, that beautiful white wispy crown coming out from the sun in all directions. And we can see airplanes, and I think I see Jupiter in the sky over there. I think I can see Jupiter.
Wow.
And I see other planets too, and stars.
I can only imagine in ancient times what this must have been like.
I know.
Out of nowhere. I am covered in head to toe in goosebumps. A complete chill.
I know, I am too.
Body.
I just can't believe we finally got a chance to see it. I mean, it's one thing to read about it, but it's another thing when you get to see it yourself with your own eyes.
Guys, we're going to take a break here just a second. We're going to step back and fully enjoy this and hope you enjoy our feed on the telescope. Wow, here in Eclipseville, it has definitely lived up to
And
its
now we're
name.
getting that diamond
Here we
ring
go.
on the
We've
way
got it
out.
coming back. The moon is stepping aside
And
from the
now,
sun. It is getting
totality's over.
brighter. Totality has finished here at Hopkinsville. Wow, that was absolutely amazing, Renee. Can you even try to put it in words?
I can. I mean, I just have goosebumps all over my body.
Like, can you even try to put it in words?
I can. I mean, I just have goosebumps all over my body.
Wow, this is amazing. We can see the birds flying around in the
we can
distance.
see the sun starting to come out and it's getting bright again.
This is amazing.
It's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity until the next eclipse
Yeah,
that we'll
exactly.
have only 6 years away. We get to see it again.
Wow, we'll be there.
Yeah.
We will be making
Without
our
a
way.
doubt. I think I'm hooked. I'm an addict.
We have sat in meetings preparing for this for the last 2 or 3 months, and now that it's actually here, it's completely 100% lived up to its billing, and I can't imagine, I can't believe what just happened.
It was just amazing. We were so worried about the weather and the the broadcast and making sure our telescope was set up and everything went smooth, and we just had a blast.
Wow, this has been absolutely amazing. Folks, we have really enjoyed it. It's been a great time here at Hopkinsville, here at Eclipseville, USA. Now time for us to send it back to Clarksville, Tennessee, where our good friend Chris Blair is standing by for their reaction to the eclipse. Chris?
Well, I think he meant Charleston, not Clarksville. So let's bring it back here at Eclipse Central. There's only one Eclipse Central, and it's here in Charleston. Yeah, okay, so the hits just keep on coming through the eyes of NASA. Now, let's continue. Now, these are going to be pre-recorded views from the high-altitude WP-57 aircraft. They soar high above the clouds that could potentially block the views of today's eclipse. And they're chasing the total solar eclipse. They're mid-wing, long-range aircraft used to conduct high-altitude research. So, let's go to these pre-recorded views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What are we seeing here, Alex?
So right now we're looking at these specially fitted cameras. They're on the nose cone of the WB-57, and these are designed to look at the corona, and they're also designed to look at Mercury. They're taking thousands of images every minute and processing this data to give us an extended view, because up there at 50,000 feet, it's 20 to 30 times darker than it is here on the Earth. Because there's a lot less scattered light. So this is a really unique opportunity. As those two planes fly in tandem, they give us about 8 or more minutes of the view of the corona. Now, the other thing they're actually looking at is, because they're so high up, it's very cold, and that allows them to take infrared observations. And in this case, Mercury is very close to the sun, and they can take infrared observations of Mercury to see the temperature change as Mercury is rotating.
That's amazing. So we're going to come back with that, but let's go now. Let's go to Clarksville and see what's going on there.
All right, thanks and welcome back. We're excited to highlight some of the student science and the STEM aspect of this solar eclipse. We have several students joining us right now. Would you please tell our audience your name and what school you go to?
My name's Eliza Dellert. I'm from the University of Alabama, Huntsville.
And what club or group are you with?
I'm actually with the Space Hardware Club.
All right, and you guys have been launching balloons all day today. Tell us about the scientific payloads and the instrumentation.
Well, on our first balloon, we had a Geiger counter counting alpha, beta, gamma particles. We also had a pointing payload to get stabilized camera footage along the way. We had some hops from one of our local breweries, and then we, on our second balloon, we had a live streaming payload. So that was cool. That was probably our biggest project, thanks to Alabama Space Grant and National Space Grant. And so we were really excited with all of our experiments. They went really well.
Excellent. Well, we're glad you came here to do this. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And so that's University of Alabama in Huntsville. And so we also have another student joining us from the Space Camp, U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Tell our audience, please, your name. And I just said who you're with. So tell us your name, please.
I'm Stephanie Bonifield. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And you're with the Space Campers. What have they been doing all weekend long to get prepared for this eclipse?
Well, the day before we left, we did a whole bunch of eclipse stuff. We did classes about what the eclipse is and like what we'll experience, and a lot of safety stuff. They didn't want anybody like burning their retinas or anything, so we did a lot of that. We talked about what experiments we'll be doing. We set up the shadow band boxes that are over here that are out of the shot, but we recorded hopefully some interesting data about what was happening during totality, so that's pretty cool.
So you guys will go back and go over that data a little bit. Tell us about the students. Where are they from? It's not just students from Alabama.
No, yeah, we have students from all over the country and even all over the world. We have students just in my team who are from like Spain. We've got someone from Norway, all over the world. It's crazy. There's a girl in another group who's from Mexico, and it was daylight before, and then the eclipse kind of comes in slow, and it's just like a glowing ring in the sky. It's incredible. It's so hard to explain. And then the lighting, it's not like dark like at night. It's like this kind of almost eerie sort of ambient lighting. And there's a sunset everywhere. And then after totality, like right after, it was like somebody turned daylight back on. The moon just moves away and it's light again. It's really awesome.
No, absolutely. It's exactly what happened. So thanks. We appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. So we got one more student joining us. It's from the Inspire Project. Please tell us your name and what school you attend.
I am Robert Allsbrooks, and I attend Chesapeake Math and IT Academy in Maryland.
And tell us a little bit about the science experiments or research you were working on while you were here.
I was working with the balloons, and I was also working with the shadow bands and the ham radio.
All right, and how about your first reaction to the solar eclipse?
It was just amazing. When I saw the sun go away, and it almost went pitch black, and I just looked up, and it was just a ring around the sun, and it was amazing. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone here at Austin Peay State University and NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, thanks for letting us be a small part of this wonderful event. Right now, let's go back live for continuing coverage of this eclipse from Charleston.
Thank you, thank you. We are having a great time here at the College of Charleston, but we've got more images coming here and the International Space Station later. Let's get some images coming in from the Great Smoky Mountains, one of the largest national parks east of Rocky Mountain. Wow. Alex, what is that? That looks awesome.
We're looking at the sun that's still too bright.
It's still too bright.
But it's almost completely covered. It's getting dimmer and dimmer. And this is the unfiltered sun, so we're going to go straight from this to seeing the corona directly. This is going to be a pretty cool shot, actually.
So here's still, glasses still on.
Dimmer. Still got to have your glasses on. It's still too bright to look at directly. But it's just almost like a little tiny Christmas star or something. It's crazy. It's getting tiny and tinier.
Now, why was it in the shape of a star? That's the first one I've seen.
That's oh, there it is. I can see the corona.
Oh, okay.
That's because the camera itself didn't have a filter on it. And it was too difficult to see. But we can see the corona. There's now a little black dot, and you can see the corona around it. And that's actually the closest to what we're going to see when we look at it with our own eyes when we view it here.
John, let's go to social, man. They got to be buzzing on the conversation here.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming in. Of course, it's trending all over social media. Let's pull up this image right here on the sidebar, if possible. This right here is just one of our users did of the Eclipse from Arlington, Texas. Pretty freaking cool, showing the showing the partial eclipse on his hand. Really interesting. And then we have the Toshiba screen in New York City, where, of course, everyone there in Times Square is able to see the partial eclipse. So it's pretty spectacular. Views coming in. And we do have a few questions. I'd like to just try to get a couple in. Is it okay to see a solar eclipse in selfie mode? I see a lot of people, there's students out here, and students like to take selfies. Is that without glasses? Is that okay to do?
Actually, it is if the sun's especially behind you, because if you're looking down, the sun's behind you, and you've got it in selfie mode, that actually will protect your eyes. Again, the main thing is you do not want to have it pointed directly at the sun so that you might move away.